we get through Giant Bomb's best and worst and best games of the year for the year we called 2021. Welcome back, everyone. We're here. We're ready to get into another batch of categories, and time permitting, we might even get into the full-on top 10. I don't know.
Holy smokes, I'm not ready.
Wow. I'm going to have to eat at some point, so
That's eating,
maybe not.
I eat video games.
I have a foot pedal for my food intake.
Yeah, that's smart.
Thank you, El Cat. Oh.
Yeah. No, it's
Otto.
When I ordered it, it said it'd take 1 to 2 weeks to get here, so I'm starving until then. But
yeah, how are you gonna eat?
Feed the feet.
Yes, that is yes. If you find me online, I am looking to eat feet. Is that wait?
What?
What are you saying? What are you talking?
Yeah, that's
about?
what the kids are into, right? Eat feet.
Yeah,
feet
when they
eating?
talk about being goated with the sauce, I think it's a foot thing.
Ugh.
Like a sexy foot thing?
No,
yeah, yeah. No, is there any other kind?
It's too much sauce.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
not. I was trying to think, and nothing came to mind aside from just like, foot fucking.
Oh.
What?
I know it's
Foot
Thursday, but
fucking.
we're not doing the dump truck today, okay?
Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. Then
Switch gears.
I'll close this
Back it
Steam
up.
developer page that I was looking at, and we will not spend a lot of time talking about Sex Prison.
No.
At least not
And
today.
instead we'll recap, until we get to the top 10 games of the year list, and then we will talk about nothing but Sex Prison. Let's recap yesterday's awards in case for some reason you decided you were just going to start on day 2, like some kind of sicko.
Yeah, like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yesterday we got through the categories. Letter of the year. The winner was Jay. Congratulations. The Minecraft presents the Shaka Award for chillest game. Brah. Went to Chicory. Congratulations to Chicory. Best time loop game is Outer Wilds Echoes of the Eye. And best music, Chicory. How about that? And that brings us to day 2, where we will get through these 4 categories. We will be talking about best style, best looking game, best Switch game that isn't on Switch yet, and most disappointing. And then, depending on how long that takes, we might get into the full-on list.
Oh, gosh.
Full-on list for real.
Boy.
I don't know.
For real,
Yeah.
for real.
For real, for real.
I got a lot of complaints about those disappointing games. I don't know if we're gonna get there.
Yeah, that list, the list of potential games for most disappointing really, I'm going to say over doubled in size over the
Overnight.
last 24 hours.
Yeah. Just had to rack your brain a little bit.
We have
As we
grievance.
thought more about the games that
Yeah.
wronged us.
I'm upset. Like, I'm actually upset
scabs.
looking at that list.
There were a
Yeah.
couple things I added to that list that I was like, oh, right, yes, damn it, I'm so mad at this.
I usually wash them from my brain as soon as possible, but
Yesterday,
Some
it was
stick
such a nice debate over best game music. Today, I can't. I'm dreading it. I'm dreading
it's gonna
it.
be a downer.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Well, we'll worry
will.
about that later.
Okay.
Instead, we'll talk about best style.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Now, this is style is a pretty specific thing.
Yeah.
Is it?
it's
Either
it's
got
a
it or
spirit.
Yeah, you either
Like
have
a
it or
swagger.
you don't.
It's like a
It's
Totally.
yeah. There's
But you can exude style in many different ways. Can
It's a
you?
yes, but
Moxie.
Yeah.
some of those ways are shitty.
Yes. Like, my friend, you have shitty style.
It's like someone that
Mhm.
wears 2 wallet chains, but they still pull it off.
If you're
Right.
wait, are these doubled up? Like one's a little higher than the other?
Both sides, buddy.
Oh my
Damn.
boy, you are a walking booby trap. You are a fish hook doing that.
But you remember that friend, though. That's a thing.
You
'Cause they were
do.
like, man, that guy's got style.
That guy's
What do you have in the other wallet?
Oh, the
Why do you need
chain.
2 wallets?
One's a distraction,
question.
maybe.
Okay, like a
Mm.
decoy wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Decoy.
Okay, I could see that. Do they make wallet chains for phone, like a phone case that comes with a wallet chain style thing?
If
Yeah, but, like, charms and stuff are popular in other cultures, right? Like phone charms and all
Mhm.
that and
Yeah.
all that shit. I feel
Sure.
like someone's gotten the idea to be like, well, I mean, I'll just connect the dots here and add a chain to this little fucker.
I feel like an iPhone
Brilliant.
case with a wallet chain attached to it would be terrifying.
I'd be all over it though.
Yeah,
I
your
would
move,
be as
OtterBox.
well.
Get your shit together.
Yeah. I mean, all these cases are like scrambling, trying to justify a reason to exist anyway. Don't need a case. My wife she needed a new case, and I said, just don't put a case on it. And she said, you're crazy. I need a screen
crazy.
protector. I'm like, you don't need a screen
Don't
protector.
need it. Just go loosey goosey.
Well, I'll defend the case. The screen protectors may be a bridge too far, but a case makes sense.
Well, okay, yes, a case can make sense. I put the default kind of stock case on mine, but it's more of a grip thing.
Sure.
It
Sure,
slides out of
yeah.
my hand a little less. Anyway, let's get
There
through
we
the
go.
games we've
Here's my phone.
mentioned here as as contenders for best style.
Only
Which
Jason
game
had a
case
chain.
has the
Yeah.
best style.
Yeah. Psychonauts 2,
Damn it.
Inscription, Deathloop, Returnal, Death's Door, Chicory, Tales of Arise, Solar Ash, No More Heroes 3, Cruelty Squad, Guilty Gear Strive, Persona 5 Strikers, Scarlet Nexus, and Bravely Default 2 are the games we have here so far.
I'm ready to cut one, and it's the last one I'd added on.
I'm typing Sable down here too, because that's
Oh yes.
a game that's got some style. I don't know, that's not. I just want to make sure we mention it
style.
here.
I'm
Say,
ready to
sorry,
cut-
Jan, you were about to cut a game.
I'm ready to cut Bravely Default 2.
Me too.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks for backing
Yeah.
me up on this. I added
Ready.
it to the last list. I really think it was like a neat RPG that came out this year. Sequel to Bravely Default, another entry into the Bravely Default series, where all the characters are all chibi-fied. I just really like the tableaus for some of the scenes where they totally look like little storybooks. They get the tilt shift effect going on really well. I just hated the game because I erased my save, but that's on me, not the game.
Yeah,
My God.
kind of on you.
Okay,
Goodbye,
fair enough.
Bravely Default 2.
Yeah.
You and your chibi people.
It's not your fault, Bravely Default. It's chance.
It's my fault. It's not you. It's me.
Okay.
I really could use that wallet chain right now.
Right
Yeah,
now,
see,
like
that's-
while you're
Yeah,
sitting.
I can't find my phone. I have no idea where my phone is.
Oh.
Find my chain wallet.
Shit.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? Let's see here. Looking at the rest of this, is Death's Door like?
No,
When we talk about style, like when I think about canonically the games that have really fit into this category and the meaning of style that we're going for, it's the Persona games. It's that UI, that menu, like that
Yeah.
has
I
been
agree.
a tremendous example of that. I think No More
the
Heroes
whole-
3 is also like a very defining.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's the whole package and the oomph, the overall oomph of the
Right.
the visual. This visual style needs to be striking, I think.
Yeah.
Gotta say something. Sure.
Like Death's Door is chill and pretty. What I call the style striking. Not
No, I'd argue.
necessarily.
Yeah.
It's the weakest part of the game.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I wouldn't go that far, but okay.
Well, that and no map, but yes, I think
No map is the weakest part of
If
that
it had a
game.
stylish map, then maybe
Oh.
you know.
what that
a
game
certain
could
a certain
do.
type of flair, a certain type of panache, if you will.
Of course.
What's up?
Croissant.
Oh,
Yeah, is really what we're going after, and that's why I don't think Returnal really fits on this list. Like I think there's something really cool about the way that like when you die in Returnal and the flickering flashes as you kind of come back to for your next run, like that's a very stylish thing.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's behind the back shooter, and you're just like
Totally.
I do appreciate about Returnal, like where its artistic, like DNA is at, basically. Like they
Yes.
were clearly very inspired by H.R. Giger and Zdzisław Beksiński's work, who is the worst man to pronounce the name of if you're not what is he? He's not Finnish.
Mm.
He's freaking Polish or something. But Beksiński and stuff like that. And I do appreciate that Returnal did that better than the Medium did, which we're going to talk about later. And the Medium just straight up like ripped off the style of Beksinski. So I do appreciate that they interpreted those styles and mushed them together into their own thing for the environmental design. But that being said, it's not. It wouldn't make my top 3 of this
Yes,
list.
if this was
So,
best style, then maybe that would be something we could talk about. But it's best style,
style.
and that's
Lots
just
of
not.
whys.
Yeah, not really it.
I think on that same tip, I think we can cut Tales of Arise. It's
You do it, Jan.
I'll do it. I'll take the knife to it.
Oh shit.
It's definitely got a lot of flash in the pan in moments, but like a sustained style. I think it's your run of the mill JRPG that you'll get. Even like when we talk about menus and stuff, it is very like run the numbers, but like in the battles, in the cutscenes, it's just bright colors, spells,
There's some visual flair there for sure.
space
Absolutely.
bullets everywhere.
Yep.
And I mean, you summon one of your main weapons the first time out of someone's chest. You pull a flaming sword out of someone's chest, and that was pretty stylish.
And it's on a chain.
And and like the main dude was wearing like a iron mask, and they called him Iron Mask, and then that mask broke into like a cool eye patch.
So do they call him Iron Eye Patch after that?
No, because then spoilers for Tales of Arise, he eventually loses the eye patch as well. I
They call him No Iron Mask at that point.
they call him by his name.
Mask.
Steven, Trevor.
Which is Iron Mask.
Steve.
No, it's
Steve,
not. It's not
that's
Steve.
it.
It's not Steve.
Steve.
I think the most stylish thing that made me want to nominate it, besides the battle animations, is that this game has 2 title card sequences. One in like within the first hour of the game, and then a second one several hours in.
Nice.
Do like that.
And I was like,
hours in.
"What's going on? Oh my god, it's so fun!"
Did I just start?
And then I was like, "They Shippuden'd us. They Shippuden. There's a time skip." Kind of. But yeah, Tales of Arise, not enough flash.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Later.
This might be rude, but I'm okay getting rid of Chicory. Mostly
Come
because
again?
of all the whys in the best style. 'Cause
And I
that-
think like there's obviously the game has a style, but like so much of it is what you are bringing to it as well from
Yeah, like-
the things you're creating.
definitely has an adorable coloring book style.
Mm.
Mhm.
Got the
and
best your style.
your style. That's like
Yeah.
super cool. But it's very placid and kind and cute. I feel like that is not included in all those whys.
Right.
Yeah.
The word style.
Yeah, let me tell you,
Right.
when I was painting stuff in there, I would just hold down the button and color everything the same color. And yeah, that's not
Yeah.
befitting
Leaf.
of all
You're like,
the
you're like my
lies.
daughter. She's
Yeah.
got her first coloring book, and she's just coloring the entire page one color. I'm
Nice.
like,
Yep.
that's
That's
my
economical,
level
really.
right there.
yeah.
Technically correct. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
Jess's Among Us drawing in her list, and then I was like, "Wow, I'm actually really bad at drawing. This game was lying to
Sorry.
me."
Yeah.
I'm like shocked that so Chicory, the Twitter account, retweeted that Among Us booty drawing that I did and tagged Among Us, and also fucking the ex-president of Sony favorited that booty drawing.
Oh.
I've made it,
Quite the
everybody.
booty.
Yeah.
Like the lot of shadows on that booty.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. A lot of
It's-
eyes on that ass.
Lot of
double
important-
cupped up.
Yeah.
Fully rendered Among Us.
That is a
AF.
sus butt right
Mhm.
there.
Hope you're showing it right now, Jed.
I'm not. We
No,
will get
we're-
banned.
Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
get clapped for some
What?
sus butt.
Too good. I like it when it claps though. Wait, what are we talking about?
Yeah, come on.
Someone Deathloop I like has a style to it, and also like I feel like the like writing words in the environment thing was much cooler when Splinter Cell did it. And like I just feel like Deathloop I actually specifically hate the font they use for all of that in-world stuff. I think it just looks fucking dumb.
But imagine it was Comic Sans.
Yeah, I would almost. Well, maybe not, but
That'd be all right. That'd be all right.
that would be. Yeah. I
No,
don't know.
agree.
Like,
I agree.
I think the Deathloop style is kind like
You hate the 70s.
I have lived through a 70s revival already, and it's just not. You know, like you just look at it and go like, "Yep, you did that. You're like you're nailing it," and I appreciate that, but it's not. Like I feel like it's been done better elsewhere, and even the like I said, the words in the environment stuff, I think even that's been done way more stylishly before also. So I just don't think Deathloop does it.
It's interesting.
Fuck
Like
off, mid-century modern furniture.
the style of Deathloop, while I think is very finely realized, right, and like sort of dialed in. I agree. It doesn't qualify for any top 3 in this category. The pop-up text that I feel like that did not stay with me in any meaningful way for whatever reason. The thing that stayed with me more about that game stylistically was just sort of like the deco-y kind of big, statue wolf things that were in the world. Like that to me is the best parts of the style of that game. To reiterate, I agree. It does not qualify in a top 3 slot here. It's got a very good style. Does it have the style?
Yeah.
Not.
I thought
not
the
particularly.
animated
they
cinematics
could have nailed it.
were also
This
really
is
well
what
done.
ticked me off. This is a thing that ticked me off. I'm glad you brought this up, Jan. Sorry to be like so down on Deathloop. I know a lot of people like
No, I
it.
don't know
Like
what you're
no
talking about.
shade, no shade.
All
to
shade.
people
It's
who
all
like.
shade.
No, it's the worst game of the year. I
Deathloop.
understand.
Those cinematics that were stylish and cool, and I feel like also like the teaser trailers and stuff like that kind of hyped me up to have a more stylish game than it actually ended up being. I wanted, like, once you actually see the models of the characters, like that actually have faces that don't have cool masks on them, they just look like regular ass like NPCs in a game. Like they have no like stylistic choices going on with like how they're rendered, their skin, like there's no cartooniness to it. And I think this game would have been, would have benefited from a little more like pushing toward that style. I think they like kind of shied away from it and just want it to be a visual theme of the game and a musical theme of the game, this kind of 60s 70s mishmash. But they were a little too scared to really like commit to that aesthetic all the way, and I think it would have been stronger if they actually did, and a little more compelling if they did.
So what you're saying is pre-release you saw the trailers, and then when it came out it was disappointing.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Well, we'll talk about that later.
Uh-oh.
Could say that.
But
Oh, boy.
It
all
just
right.
felt like a veneer. It didn't feel like they were really going for it. It just felt like a fun little coat of paint for them. It wasn't really like something they were really going whole hog into, and I wanted the whole hog.
I get it.
I will offer up Guilty Gear Strive.
No.
Simply
No,
because
Jason, no.
I love the cheesy metal. I love everything that's going on visually with that game. But they've been doing it for a few different games now. It's not particularly new. When it was first done, absolutely, I felt it had the best style. It was actually the best looking game. One year.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if it's strong enough to
that bird
here. The bird flying in, and we blame the beasts, and
I feel like if they had written 20 different things for that and had it pick one randomly, I might feel differently about it, but it have it be the exact same sentence every time, which I know is very Guilty Gear, right? But I think I'm with you that, like, yes, this is what they've been doing for a while now. And for me, the thing I'm sick of, not to call back to another conversation where I was definitely correct, the frame rate's too low. They go for that framey anime style, and if there was some kind of motion smoothing over this to make it look...
if only,
again.
I wonder if you could turn on motion smoothing.
I wonder. No, turning motion smoothing on in a video game is actually a criminal act.
Yes, it is.
Game that would be approved
outside
by
of a game as
motion smoothing.
Can we? Is there time?
Oh.
Is there time to add one last category?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Like this, I do love the style this game has, and I think some of the characters are really oozing with it.
Characters are
But
some of the best
it's
designed in the business for sure.
Yeah, it's what they've done before, and I think it was more impressive the last couple of times they did it.
Yeah.
No.
That same logic, I would also cut Persona 5 Strikers.
Don't.
Now you're talking.
This is what I was going to hitch my wagon to. I was hoping that Jason would fight for Guilty Gear so that I could keep Persona 5 on. But then by that same virtue, Persona 5 Strikers is virtually the same style as.
I stabbed you in the back. I'm sorry.
Stab me in the front, homegirl. As Guilty Gear, I can't make the argument that it is something super new. In fact, like any of the small increments they added with Persona 5 Royal aren't present in Persona 5 Strikers because canonically it doesn't quite include what happens there. I do think it's interesting their ability to shift all the flashy Persona menu stuff into an action game. They reverse Yakuza Like a Dragon Persona, and I think it works surprisingly well. But it is the same style.
I like the I like the way they represent that style in this game.
Yeah,
like because it is an action game and they gotta move that stuff around a bit. Like the little bit of this I did play, I was like, oh, they did this well, but it's definitely another case of like I feel like this has been done better before.
Yeah,
the Persona like take 5, take 4, take 3. Like whatever, they've been stylish for days.
Damn it, Jason. Okay.
I didn't know you were gonna hitch on to Persona, man.
This is why we have chain wallets.
This
That's why.
But
This is why.
that said, though, with us cutting those 2 games, I'm looking at the rest of this list and saying, like, well, No More Heroes is like I feel like a lock for this, and then the rest of them, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I also feel like No More Heroes is probably number 1, but a close second for me. It's kind of between Inscription and Psychonauts 2, personally.
Okay.
And I don't know how anyone else feels about this.
I think Psychonauts 2 just looks like a cartoon, and that's cool, and that's awesome, and that's what they were going for, but I just look at it and go like, yeah, you made a season of a Nickelodeon show.
I mean,
yeah, but that's like kind of cool. Like you don't see that very often, right? Like,
but
in
it's the
video
bad
games.
later era Nickelodeon, not the good
Oh,
early era
rude.
Nickelodeon.
oh, it's like
Rude
little,
as hell.
it's like little monsters and not enough
Little
fucking,
monsters.
Yeah, not enough Finders Keepers, not
whoa,
enough Hey
okay.
Dude.
Yeah, that Hey Dude was my favorite cartoon. I feel like
You don't like Kablam, I get it.
I feel like Psychonauts is also it's very much its own thing.
Yeah.
Like characters only look like that in Psychonauts 1 and 2. So I
Sesame
think there's some and Sesame Street?
Yeah.
What part of Sesame Street?
Some of them look like Bert and Ernie.
There's a couple Muppety ones, just
Yeah.
a little bit, but
Okay.
I feel like Scott
okay.
Campbell's style, and which you've also seen in other Double Fine games, by the way. He was also like a concept artist for a bunch of other stuff. I can't even list them all. But and they've worked with him forever and ever, and he came back for this basically, I think, if I'm remembering right. But I think it's not just like the style of the characters. I feel like it is the versatility of the levels and how they all look contribute to the best style of all this. And also its sense of humor and just like the total, like the whole shtick of this thing is really cool. And it all loops in together with the aesthetics, with the gameplay, with the cool effects from your powers and stuff like that. I feel like it all blends together really, really nicely, especially considering that each level is so drastically, thematically different.
Mhm.
And to have all of those themes be connected so intimately with different characters and their inner problems and stuff like that, and have that translate so well is really, really, really cool as hell. Like that's like multiple Ys of style for me, that they're able to have a style but be able to translate it to these different themes, these different meanings.
Look, I agree with everything you said. It's my game of the year. At the same time, I don't know if that's all filed under style in the way that we're doing style.
Okay.
And that's my only bit of friction there.
Okay.
Because I guess it just comes down to that. Because I think Psychonauts 2 is the best game of the year because of how supremely diverse it was from level to level.
Right. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Maybe this is more of an argument for a later category then.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
Well, let's leave it. Let's leave it for now. Because I think for me, it's just like I look at it as like it. I don't like the way Psychonauts 2 looks. I recognize that it is going for a thing that I just do not appreciate, and I think out of the gate, that game opening with its fucking creepy teeth level, like I just don't like the way the characters look and animate and stuff. I just look at it and go like, all right, yeah, like it's you have found a style, and none of it does anything for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I felt that way about the first game as well. Like it's just like, yep, you did it.
The mouth horror for the first level.
Yeah, opening with the fucking gross teeth stuff. I was like, all right,
we'll never go to the dentist again. That's fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
I really want to go to the dentist.
Well, if
don't they're gonna make you do a 2-week procedure.
I know. Yeah, that's a whole.
If I could renominate for the top 3, if we're gonna, dip down Psychonauts 2, I'd like to nominate instead Cruelty Squad.
To be on the list?
Yeah, to be potential top 3.
Yeah, I go back and forth on this because it's so fucked up.
Yeah.
But oh my god, it's like so specific.
That style with so many Ys though, in that it does not give a fuck what it looks like. But like it's choosing to be this ugly, and I think that's so punk rock to do that.
I frankly hate looking at Cruelty Squad, and it always gives me a headache anytime I've seen it. But in regards to this category, it's not necessarily trying to look like anything else. Like Psychonauts 2, we can say like, oh, it does look like a Nickelodeon cartoon. Inscription, there are bits later in the game that look like other things. And it's definitely not iterating on a previous title like the ones we've already gotten rid of. Cruelty Squad is just like fucked up, but like fucked up,
and just like and it makes choices across every aspect of that game. Of like, we're gonna put this big blob in the upper left corner of your screen the whole time you play it. Fuck you. We're gonna make these menus unfucking manageable. Like it gets in the way of the game.
Can you, as a colorblind person, can you read anything that anyone is saying to you?
Some of it is hard. Yes, there are definitely aspects of like the red text on crazy, like depending on the contrast of the background and stuff that I've been like,
that red text on green is like, it must look like a blank box with nothing in it. Sometimes
it's not quite that bad, but yeah, it's there's definitely some stuff that I have to think about to fucking read. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful game in a lot of ways, and just they put the creepy borders on stuff, and just like it just
constantly.
It's a game that is just willing to just like so get in its own way, in service of a style that I
can't help but admire that. Yeah,
yeah, like it is beautiful in how disgusting and off-putting it is. Like that game makes me I am physically repelled by that game when I look at it, and at first I was like, that just can't be in this category. It's too disgusting. But it is bold.
Yeah, I feel like maybe best style. It's not best style. If it was best style, this thing would not be here. It's the worst style.
Yeah.
All those Ys implies like some sort of moxie.
Yes.
And some sort of
a chutzpah.
Yeah.
Some sort of
punk rock spirit.
Swagger, which which I'm not getting. It like it's intentionally offensive to the eyes.
But it's about like
That's art, baby.
capitalism. Yeah, that's art, baby. Like that's
I
put
own a
this
part of
bitch in a
it?
museum.
Yeah, I guess what you said about how deliberate the game is, it takes a second to realize that it's not just, the entire archive of GeoCities in a blender and then just spit that out and like that's what this game is.
Bravo.
There's choices that are being made. So I respect that from the stylistic. I want to say this feels like a strong 3 to me.
Yes, I don't think it wins because I think we have a much stronger game on here.
Yeah.
I like Scarlet Nexus. I don't think it hangs. I love the way they dress. I love the look of the city. I think that it's very snappy and cool, but that kind of verticality, that kind of like, check it out, we made Tokyo in a game, like that style of city.
The environments, I don't think are that inspired.
They're not. Yeah.
I like the design of the characters. Unfortunately, like they're all kind of designed the same.
Yeah.
And they don't really stand out from one another.
Very snappy outfits, but they're all in the same military,
cool
like kid school army thing. So they all kind of look the same. But
what I like about it is that it's not typical like JRPG fare. It's in a near future. It's it's different than my traditional JRPG.
Yeah,
it doesn't need to stay though.
No, I definitely appreciate aspects of it. But it's not. It's probably not what we're looking for here. Sable seemed like it was. I put Sable on here just because I know it came up earlier yesterday in a way that reminded me that it should probably be discussed here, but it didn't sound like there was a lot of support for it.
Yeah, I feel like Sable looks real unique. I don't think it stands out in a way that sparks that kind of intense thing that I sometimes maybe have started to weight this category in.
Yeah.
Screenshots serve it better than seeing it in motion in certain aspects.
I thought that too, actually.
Yeah. Like I have a whole folder of screenshots from playing that game. It's like, wow, that looks really great. That'd be a good wallpaper. And then the playing of it, it's like, okay, maybe I could use more frames in some of this animation.
Now you're talking.
Not too many though.
Frames win games, Jan.
I wish it was
movies
happier. I wish it moved better. I feel like this stutteriness, kind of hitchiness, is on purpose, but it wasn't really like doing anything positive for me aesthetically.
And that hitchiness, I think, is the kind of stuttering issues it's had. I think that's still present in some of the console versions, right?
Yeah,
like if they haven't. Yeah.
I mentioned yesterday I played it on Game Pass for a little bit, and it was like very hitchy, and I was like, well, I'm not struggle through this.
Still some work to do there. Solar Ash certainly has a look to it.
It does. It's real good. I love the look of this game. I can't quite describe the one thing that appeals to me, but I love the look of the player character and its cape and like the hair that's kind of flowing off, the dramatic camera angles when you finally get to like the final bit that you're trying to stab, and it's just these giant syringes that you slash on the way to get to the last thing, and then you shoot a grappling hook to get there. The slowdown is really great, but like the dramatic camera angles when you are about to stab the last weak point of like a giant monster or like this cliff you're scaling is really well done. It I love the transitions that it uses because
I was going to say, what are we forgetting? What are we forgetting?
I love the transitions that it uses because it Bacalar and we gush over it in the quick look of the game. It kind of takes me out of it, but then like because it just seems so random compared to everything else, but like aesthetically, like matching with the colors, I still think it works well. Those puffy clouds that you're skating on too, man, like it feels like cotton candy that I just want to like.
They feel real. Feels real. All that stuff, and just the striking visual sort of things you're presented with in that game. Like it opens up and you're just like sitting in space and you're like, hey, fuck this black hole over here.
Yeah.
You know, what do I got to do? That's just wild. And in between levels, you're face to face with this like giant god with like wrists that are severed and sewing needles. It's just, there's nothing like it out there. There's nothing visually that has kind of delivered a sort of package like that.
I can't wait for games to rip this off, you know?
Totally. And that's skating.
The skating, yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
You
that
get
was
a good
gorgeous.
sense of speed as well with that. And like it just, I think it adds because, you know, you're skating primarily on these puffy pink clouds in the early bits of the game. And then like that little boost you get just adds to that feeling of like, I'm sky skating, bro. This is great.
Do you feel like so why should this be in best style category versus best looking game, I guess is my question.
I
Do you
think
it's more suited for one
I
over
think
the
with
other?
looking, you're talking specifically to like fidelity and that kind
Or
of
like
thing.
physical graphics?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely part of the conversation, but I don't think this necessarily wins that category. I think in terms of I think style rewards points for uniqueness and freshness, and that to me is where this game probably slots in the best. As opposed to just like,
remember the best looking ends up being like kind of a mix of best technical graphics and best artistic graphics, and so that you end up, you know, there's kind of pretty different criteria there. It's muddy on purpose, so best style ends up being kind of a different carve of that. So we got 5 games here. We've got No More Heroes 3, Cruelty Squad, Psychonauts 2, Inscription, and Solar Ash. We haven't talked about Inscription yet. How do people feel about that in this category?
I feel good about it.
I think it's got a really good style. I think you know, I don't think the style, like, so for a game like Solar Ash, style is a reason I also play that game. And style is not the reason I played Inscription.
Oh, I played it for some style.
I mean, I look, I even like, and I'm a typeface nerd, and I love the kind of like weird nuances that go on with type in that game too, and that's real cool. But I think there's definitely other areas I would reward Inscription. I just don't know if its overall style is what kept me going back for that one.
I feel like similar to No More Heroes, punk rockness, and Cruelty Squad's rudeness and ugliness on purpose. I feel like Inscription has a chutzpah and a spirit to it that is very uncompromised and strange. And I like rewarding that kind of moxie, basically, because I feel like this is coming down to like best moxie in a game for the most part. Because they are intertwined, but yeah, I feel like the way that Inscription goes about doing the things it does is stylish, let alone that it looks a certain way. It has to do with the presentation of how it does the weird shit it does, you know?
Are we, where people at home should know that spoiler warnings for all of these games, right?
Yeah, why are you listening to this? If you
It's you know, we're wrapping up games that, geez, these games came out last year. Everyone's already played every single one of them, right? It's
I really, really love the look of Inscription in Act 1. Moving forward, I think I start to like the game less because of the stylistic choices it took in Act 2, and then I thought like, all right, we're done, and then Act 3 happens. I'm like, we're still going, and this doesn't look as great anymore, and I know that's on purpose, story-wise in the game, but I think it started falling apart for me there, and later in the game when you revisit the Act 1 space, the world, I felt like, oh cool, I'm back home, this is great, this is a place I like. Versus the
so cozy, right?
Exactly. Just me and my creepy friend staring at me the whole time. I was actively turned off by the game in Act 2 and the changes it makes, because I don't think it pulled it off that well. And then I know it purposely is shedding all of its style for a specific style in like the last act of the game. I think just those choices make me want to cut it because I just didn't enjoy Act 2 and 3. I mean, like the quick sequence you get at the end where you're just like going rapidly through other motifs, let's call it that. Like I thought was neat.
Biomes.
Sure. There's like a specific sequence in the game.
Word of the year.
There's a sequence in the game that I feel like was specifically designed towards me when you pull out a very specific dueling apparatus.
I thought of you, yeah.
Thank you. But even then, it's just like it's just I still don't like it. Just go back to the creepy cabin. Go back
that
to
really
the
made
woods,
me thirsty for more of that motif. Like you only get a glance at that one and a glance at Grimora's like death deck situation, and I really wanted more of the death deck.
Because like when you're finally
ooh.
approaching the final boss of Act 1 and like you're walking down that that lonely road back to the cabin and like the moon comes down and then like
fight.
that fight, like everything was just rocking, that I thought we were done. And even like when you finally defeat the first not the first boss, but Act 1, and that boss is cowering in a corner, and then like you're looking at the icon that's flashing and all the lights are going off. I wish it kind of just tried to stick with that. I don't know how you can sustain that for a longer game, or maybe the game just ends. But it's like the subsequent acts that kind of ruin the whole package for me.
Oh, that's a shame.
And on top of that, I
disagree,
deleted my
but-
save data.
Yeah, well,
sucks.
that's your
Seems to be
bad.
a recurring theme
I just have
with you in
really
games
bad-
this year.
I just really have really bad
Yeah,
luck with
shame
it.
One
on
more
your
category.
game
One
saves.
more.
Yeah.
Oh, worst game save I accidentally did.
Oh, that sucks.
Um,
But I don't know. I also like, I'm coming from a place of bias because I already like Daniel Mullen's games. Like I mentioned in my Goaty article, like I've already played Pony Island and The Hex, which not that many people seem to know about or have played. And this one is like the most like stylish, the most like this guy clearly learned so much stuff from his previous games and successes and mistakes and stylistic switches and swatches. And it's just really cool to see it kind of culminate in this like nicely iterated package that's like pretty cool and solid and does a whole bunch of different things while still managing to tell a pretty interesting story despite hopping around to all these different genres and stuff like that. Is it the best paced game though? Nah. Like I do think Act 2 drags a bit. Act 3 wasn't that bad for me. Yeah, I don't know. I do.
It seems like Solar Ash. I don't know. Like to me, Solar Ash seems like the third game here. I don't have too much of a dog left in this hunt, but like having seen all three of them, and I did not finish Inscription, and will never finish Inscription. I like Solar Ash feels like a game that is about its style.
Yep.
In a way that. Inscription is a little all over the place. Like Inscription is making choices and deliberately kind of throwing you those curveballs in the same way that like a Pony Island did, like that sort of stuff, the same way a Frog Fractions does. But I don't know if that alone makes it top three against these other games, right? I mean, like that seems like the reason I would cut it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with that because No More Heroes 3 and Cruelty Squad are here. So like
yeah.
I'm okay with that, with like my third choice being like, nah, we're not hot on it.
Yeah. Backlar, what do you think? It seems like we got the two of our three here, and the bubble here is Psychonauts 2 or Solar Ash. Those are Jeff Bacalar games.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they were tough to make.
The backup buddies, as we call them.
Yeah.
They were, yeah, I think obviously, my front runner here is Solar Ash for sure. I think Psychonauts. Yeah, there's just so much environmental stuff that went into that game. This is again not looking the other way at that. This is more, you know, we had a best environments game for a category.
Most
you know,
biomes.
best biomes, you know, something like that. I feel like Psychonauts is a clear winner. But
Should be up there, yeah.
but yeah, if I'm choosing between Psychonauts and Solar Ash, definitely Solar Ash.
Cool.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So that looks like it's our 3. We're down to No More Heroes 3, Cruelty Squad, and Solar Ash.
Number 1 for me is No More Heroes 3 because it's the whole package. It's extremely punk rock. It's like garish in the right places, gorgeous in the other places. The music all comes together and supports the aesthetic so well. The dialogue and the cutscenes also is wrapped up in that sort of the tude. It's a game with tude.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I think that for me, No More Heroes 3 is the game I would go with specifically because the only reason I want to play it is because of that style.
That's always why I've been No More Heroes curious. Just like, man, those guys look like they're having a good time over there.
Yeah.
What's up?
And you get into it and you're like, the time is not as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But I am
Still
dragging
fun to
myself
see.
through more and more of it than I thought I would, specifically because of that style.
Yeah, there's a bit of rubbernecking that has to come into play with a game that wins this category.
Yeah,
and
I think that's the game. Like Cruelty Squad, I think it's cool that it's on this list because it is a disaster, and I love that disaster. But
It's a game that I can't in good faith like recommend or trick people into playing, saying it's got a great style.
It's like there's like you should. It's a specific recommendation, right? With that game, where you're like the right people will find and appreciate Cruelty Squad. It is not for everyone, and that is fine. It's awesome. I think I even said it when I was writing my top 10. Like it's great that like a game like Cruelty Squad can exist in this day and age, but like not necessarily as some like, yo, this thing's on itch, and if you dig deep enough, you'll eventually find some wild shit. It's like, no, this was on Steam and got people talking in like a major way for a variety of reasons, and it's awesome that that can happen now. That's neither here nor there, I guess. But I don't know. I think I would go with No More Heroes 3 here.
Works for me.
I'm confident.
Okay.
It is done.
Yeah, do it.
There it is. Congratulations to No More Heroes 3 sending Travis Touchdown out in style, but also in style.
Right.
And shout out to Solar Ash and Cruelty Squad.
Yeah. I'm really happy Solar Ash is on here.
Along the way here.
Good grappling hook.
Yeah. How are we doing? Do we want to take a break before we get into the next category, or are we?
I could use a refill. Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a little break here, and we'll come back and get into best looking game.
The other transitions.
Welcome back. Category number 2 for the day is best looking game.
Looking
This
at
one,
you.
yeah.
What's up?
Easy on the eyes.
A little easy on the eyes. I feel like this list has grown and shrank over the past couple of days. People kind of put stuff in, took stuff out. Like it's been some shuffling. So we've got a pretty tight list here. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Forza Horizon 5.
What? I'm sorry.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Whoa.
It's just like, I say
Whoa.
that
Out already?
ironically.
Wow.
The game just looks real good.
Yeah. Someone has written Cyberpunk after patches with a bunch of question marks.
That
That
does
was
not sound
fucking
very
Rory or
confident.
some shit.
I don't understand why that's there.
What is
Just get rid of
that?
that.
Returnal, Resident Evil Village, Halo Infinite, The Ascent, Kenna Bridge of Spirits, Guilty Gear Strive, and Teardown.
And is Teardown the caveat, the mod caveat? Is that what we're doing there?
don't
Well, I
know.
think there's that voxel stuff looks. Yeah, I think you take into account some workshop support and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just mean the timing. Like that game's not a 2021 game, right?
Right. It's still technically in early access, so it's
Got it.
kind of something we maybe would have talked about last year, and they added a lot to it this year. So I think that's enough to not just straight up disqualify it for that reason. That said, I don't know that it is a top 3 best looking game.
My kid's just thrilled it's mentioned.
Yeah.
Even a nomination.
That's for him.
This is for
It's
you.
for him.
D
It's
for
Money.
him.
He
there.
knows
Proud
it.
of him.
I asked him his list this year, by the way,
Oh.
and it's fucking Roblox. And
Yeah.
You should have made
Teardown.
made him write an article.
Yeah, top
Well,
10 Roblox mods.
Hey, you don't want that list. That list is upsetting.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'll be a late guest edition list. Maybe we'll see.
Have him on tomorrow.
I'm gonna cut Cyberpunk after patches because that's a weird thing
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, and also I just
Yeah.
never really felt that game.
I think we got
as-
hacked there. We got hacked.
Looked as good as it.
Same guy that did Jason Spotify.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pitbull hacked our list and wants Cyberpunk to win.
motherfucker.
God damn.
Mr.
He
305.
looks like a cyberpunk character, like right now.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
you dress him
Ripper
up
Doc.
right. He could be like a host. I mean, yeah, he'd be some television host telling you about getting eye implants, something.
for
Your
sure.
dick.
I'd believe it.
What?
Let your dick see.
Okay.
What?
What about what?
Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dildos and
Christ.
penises, as far as the eye can see.
was there
right.
was there dick modification in Cyberpunk?
Probably.
You could. There was a slider
There's a slider.
for grower
yeah.
versus
Oh,
shower.
that was
I think.
for your
yeah.
that was
For your
your
created
honker
character. Yeah.
in the
Okay.
beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't there, like, when the game first came out, wasn't there, like, an inordinate amount of dildos just strewn
Yes.
about the
They
world?
found
Yes.
their way in corners and a lot of like weird corners.
You would go into like nightclubs and there would just be like here's this gigantic fucking king prong looking motherfucking thing just sitting
Just
on a
like,
table at a
why?
bar,
Wow.
and every
a
corner.
world.
Yeah, there's just a lot of.
God,
Community use.
I remember
Yeah.
that E3. It was either Jason or I that had to scrub through that talk over
Scrub some
Looking
dildos.
for the
to
yeah.
look
Oh,
for it
all
and
the
blur
for
it.
all the ding dongs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
There's so many dicks.
Yeah, I don't.
Why is there so many dicks?
I think my favorite early cyberpunk bug was like, yeah, you customized your character's genitals how you saw fit, but then sometimes you would spawn in the world before your clothes did, and so you would just see like you'd
Mass
just be
dong.
hanging dong for a couple seconds
Yeah.
while before the pants appeared, or sometimes your dick
Cool.
would clip through the pants depending on what kind of
Yeah.
pants you were wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like people are trying to stream the game on Twitch, just go like, "Oh God, this game is too buggy and there's dick everywhere." It's just that's
This big old elephant trunk hanging out.
fucking great, just fucking
Yeah.
great. What a disaster.
Did it glow at
Sounds-
least?
Right.
Maybe.
No.
See,
nothing
that's the
that good.
bullshit. You should have been able to augment your. If you're gonna have
Most
a cyberpunk
disappointing.
game,
Put it in.
Yeah.
put it in there. Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
going to have a game where it's like, wow, you can customize your genitalia,
Or
and it's a
make it glow.
cyberpunk game, you better be able to make it look like a fucking glow stick or a dragon dildo or something.
What about
like,
they already make
variety.
shoes
Fire.
that light up when you take steps? Why can't they do the same thing to
Yeah.
every
That's the
every
next
s-
logical
every swing of the
evolution.
dick, it pulses a color. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
It's
I
hard-
did
it's hard to
Cyberpunk win most disappointing last year, or was some guy? I feel like
it won something?
yeah, I want something.
Mm,
So it's
Those
already
sticks.
gotten its just rewards, I suppose.
sure.
It's been
What an
recognized
unfortunate
enough.
video game. Yeah. Don't worry, we'll have to look at it at some point this year because they're going to put it out on new consoles. Anyway,
Wonderful.
there's still that threat looming in the distance. I like the look of Halo Infinite quite a bit. I don't think it is like when I think about that game, I don't know that it is like best looking.
I have not been wowed other than the frame rate, I think, on that game.
Yeah.
Other than that, it looks fine.
I like the customization. Like you can make some cool looking Halo people if you spend the right amount of money in the right places and all that stuff. And I do like the way the world looks and the distance, the view distance, and all that sort of stuff. Like I don't know that I have anything necessarily bad to say about it, but I don't know that it sticks out enough to really be like the best looking game of the year. It looks very nice.
Yeah.
It's not.
Sure.
That's a big one to cut.
Yeah, I thought that might have stayed around for like top 4, top 5.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I
Good
just
Dr.
I didn't agree
Halo.
with it, but I thought so.
yeah.
Here goes.
Halo Infinite's a lot of things. Best looking is probably not.
I'm gonna
Not
say
quite
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is a lock
Take it
for
out.
top 3.
Sure.
I think so as well.
I can
think it might be.
easily
Yeah.
agree.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
yeah.
That's
That
The
game looks
animations are gorgeous. Everything's
unreal.
gorgeous.
Like we talked about
Best
Psychonauts
looking
2
bolts,
looking like a
hands down.
cartoon, best bolts. But Ratchet and
Mm.
Clank is that childhood like glee of like I'm playing a cartoon.
Yeah.
And then it just continues to blow everything else out of the water, which is
Can I
wild.
since you mentioned it, I am gonna write Psychonauts 2 down here because I feel like we should have that
Thank
conversation
you.
because it's not
You just-
necessarily
you
the
just bring
style
it up
thing, but
just so you could kill it again.
that's right.
Yeah, that's what we want to do.
Um,
We want to reanimate it just to chop its fucking head off again.
Oh.
This is
I mean, we'll see.
level.
I got you.
Cool
You
now.
tell me. Like, I that's something
It's
where I know,
big
like,
bobbly head.
the artistic aspects of that game are, varied.
This changes my top 3 now.
I mean, I think for me, I had 2 in my mind on this list that were locks, and that was Ratchet and that was Kena.
Kena,
I-
really.
Yeah, I haven't played enough of that game, but what I do know is it is, there's certain games you start up and you're just like, holy shit.
There were lots of wow, like kind of stunning moments when I was playing that game. Just like some of the lighting in there, when you're walking through caves, or when you first go into the forest, just like the depth and of the trees and everything is the way the light shines through those little fucking rots. Oh, they're
Yeah.
so cute.
How do you
Little
make
fuzzy
like little
boys.
black blobs be
And there's-
wildly interesting? Yeah.
There's
like-
also some really, really good animation in there as well. Like Keen is very subtly animated. She doesn't have a ton of dialogue,
Mhm.
but just with her facial expressions and cutscenes, it invokes a lot of character.
Yeah, and it doesn't go
Yeah.
too full Disney where it's like overly animated in certain aspects. It's just
Right.
subtly enough.
Right.
So for me, those were the 2 that stood out.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Can't
feel
destroy.
like
were-
I feel like Kena is unfair, has the unfair advantage because doesn't the developer don't they have a background in like CGI?
Yeah. I
Animation.
think so.
like doing
it's also a
commercials and shit.
relatively small team,
Yeah.
compared
Oh,
to some of
yeah.
these other games. Like, it's
Yeah, they-
not.
Right.
They hired
It's not
them to build it.
disqualifying in any
Yeah.
way, but yes,
Yeah,
they,
no,
they
but
got
but,
an advantage.
but yeah, they're kind of both ends of that, I guess. I don't think Teardown is going to make top 3.
No.
I love me some Teardown. I love the way it looks.
Yeah, you and I feel the exact same way about that game, fidelity wise. Like, oh my gosh, why is
Yeah.
this? Why are all these blocks so goddamn realistic and flowy and blurry and beautiful, and the reflections in that game? And
we feel the exact same way about that game. We love to bring down the Twin Towers over and over again.
that's the only part where you zig and I zag, but like,
Oh, well, all right. I guess we're cutting it then.
but yeah,
Um,
it's there's something wildly realistic about that game outside of terrorist acts, but like,
Best
Yeah.
voxels in the last 2 years?
Totally.
just-
Yeah.
it's wild.
Mm.
It is absolutely wild. The sort of the sequences that you can chain together in that game, really impressive.
I think it's
looking stuff.
mildly disturbing and jarring jumping into that for the first time in a good way, where everything looks too good. And then as soon as you start using some of your tools, like the first time I used the little torch, and it looks kind of poopy compared to everything else. I was like, all right, this looks cool. And then like, you dive further into that, and then it just progressively gets wilder and wilder. Also really good water, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Really nice water. Yeah. It's and it's as much as like the mod stuff is cool, like the pre-built environments and being able to just like, I'm going to cut out this part of this tower so I can watch that fall. The realistic look of the physics and the way the voxels interact with each other and stuff. Like it's a lot of fun. And I'm just a sucker for that specific type of physics simulation. It's why I spent so much time playing Gary's mod and stuff like that. Not that it's as realistic as Teardown is, but just the like, let's build this crazy shit and then watch it all come tumbling down and then hopefully crash a computer along the way.
Reminds me of that Kesha song.
Yeah.
where she's like, I'm yelling.
We are who we
timber.
are. Yeah. Oh, yes. The Pitbull.
Oh,
classic.
yeah.
Oh,
with
that's right.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Back again. That's
Yes.
the theme.
Pitbull
Mr.
presents
Creo
5's
best looking
Teardown.
category.
No, but you're right. Like there's this Rube Goldbergian thing that is happening in that game too, and it's something. It's a sandbox that I've yet to get tired in. So
Awesome product. Probably not in the top 3 best looking games here.
I want to pitch for top 3 Resident Evil Village. If you
Okay.
would all be so kind, if you would allow me
The floor is yours.
pitch Resident Evil Village. That game looked fucking good.
it did.
But
And
I would love it if that was and you just stopped. You're like, the game was fucking good. Anyway, moving on.
it looked fucking good.
All right. Okay. Good argument.
Brings up a good point.
I rest my case. But the not only does that game look fucking good, but it looks fucking good everywhere in the game. And there's like 4 different, I'm not gonna say the B word, areas where
Zones.
zones, levels, stages. But there's like 4 distinct stylistic choices going on here. They all look equally gorgeous. And like in all different ways, between like the grimy and the ostentatiously elegant. Like it all looks really, really, really good. Damn. And also the lighting is fucking amazing in that game. I was shook by how nice the lighting looked in that game. The lighting made everything even more, like the fidelity was just heightened by how good the lighting was. I remember being in that basement, the wine cellar with all the blood, and how the blood kind of like refracted the light, so it was a little bit red, but it wasn't like goofy red or anything like that. It just looked like, gee, I'm really wading in waist high blood down here. That
I don't remember any color in
sucks.
that game.
You don't remember
It's
any
weird.
color in that game?
For real.
What?
Jess, may I
Set it-
ask you something as
set a
someone
tone.
that plays a lot of horror games, and a lot of horror
Yeah.
games are emulating like a PS1 style, like older, low
Lately,
fidelity
yes.
graphics, right?
Well, that's because it's really accessible for indie devs to do.
Right,
But
totally.
anyway, yes.
But like, how does like the look with like all the power that they've put into Resident Evil Village, like how does that help add to like the fright factor, I guess?
Well, like it doesn't like I feel like you could potentially make a game like this with like crappy graphics, but the fact is they ain't crappy. They look fucking great. But like for example, like they could have also like stolen stuff from PT, which was one of the most good-looking horror games
Sure.
fucking ever. You could see the wood grain on the freaking door jambs of that game. It was fucking ridiculous.
Wood's expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive to render. And the lighting in that game is also way too good looking, like photorealistically good. And I think that kind of like PT probably like raised the bar a little bit for like what does a really good looking horror game look like if you do have the AAA budget, if you do have the ability to have this
Seemed
high
to become a
fidelity
bit of a
looking thing.
benchmark.
Yeah,
to try and hit.
absolutely.
Well, when you get to put all that time into a hallway,
Yeah, exactly.
I know,
yeah.
right?
you know,
Totally. You
But,
get yourself
like-
a,
it's the same
a
reason
Matrix
why,
demo.
like, Rainbow Six Siege does destruction really well, even though it's kind of using the Assassin's Creed engine. It's like, well, when
Right.
you just got to do a house.
Right.
Yeah, right. But it's that blown up to be a full ass.
Yeah,
How long
yeah,
is this
yeah.
game?
Full butt.
60 hours or something like that. And it all looks equally gorgeous. And they do have a PT-esque area that also looks really, really good. And like let alone like the gorgeousness of just the world building, like how all the houses feel lived in and stuff like that. The mansion looking so polished, so gorgeous, all the chandeliers casting this incredible light that's reflecting off all these brassy little elements and stuff like that. The roaring fire, like down in the foyer, like
foyer.
it looks dope. It's a dope looking game. And I think it just the
Dopest
realism makes it
foyer
scary.
of the year.
I agree. I think it's a great looking game. I think some areas are a lot
And you
better
add the
than
hot
others.
vampire lady, you've got a good looking game.
You're big.
Yeah, I mean,
Big and
I think
beautiful.
the first time that big boss with the beard and the huge hammer is revealed. And I remember sort of almost like falling off my chair and crawling away from my television because of how good that looked.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus Christ, I wasn't ready for that. Yeah,
You've
I mean,
also got
it's-
like the visceral, like there's a bunch of gore in this, and it's made even more visceral and more disturbing by the fact that it is so photorealistic looking. Like, you know, spoiler alert, bad stuff is constantly happening to Ethan's hands.
yeah,
But yeah, you get
they
your
don't
whole
really, it
hand
doesn't really
chopped off.
matter, but
And you can like, you know, you pick up your hand and you can look and rotate your fucked up hand.
Oh,
Yeah.
And look at all the fucked up gore on the inside like
yeah, no,
chunk of your hand. Like what?
Sprinkle
But
some
yes.
medicine on
Ah.
it. You'll be
you
fine.
sprinkle,
Yeah,
yeah,
rub
that's
an
all. A
herb.
little cough syrup.
Some Mountain
Cauterize it
Dew
with
and
a cigar. Yeah.
slap it on.
It's-
You're good.
I
It's
do
also,
like
like-
that. I do like
Also,
the
a spoiler. Like this is really interesting. Actually, this is a bit of an aside, but like if you look at the cross section of Ethan's hand, you can see mold a little bit
Oh.
inside of his hand, and
Cool.
like that's like a major plot point later that like there's mold stuff happening during
What's
this
up
game
with
too.
mold and horror lately?
it's because yeah,
It's been
Resident
big.
Evil leaning into that mold shit for
Mhm.
a couple games now.
Is
Yeah,
the T virus just out of control mold? Is that
that's
the
it. It's just like really bad
yeah.
infrastructure.
yeah?
Get a
Yeah.
Maybe they saw
dehumidifier.
Last of Us and they were like, "Huh, mold, huh?"
There's something I really love about this stuff when you pick up objects and you rotate them and look at them and they just feel very much in your hands. And I'm
All
a
the,
sucker for that sort of stuff. They do a great
Mhm.
that game does a great job with
and all the
with
pretty
all that
pretty objects you get, like, you know,
fingerprints and stuff. Yeah,
to rotate them all and see how shiny the objects are and how or grimy or whatever. There's that whole like escape room ass section with that creepy doll and you have to get really close to it and manipulate it, and like all these textures look like this is really made of ceramic. Oh my god, like just nuts. Crazy good looking game.
Nuts.
It's a shame they didn't do a VR version of that. That would have been
I know.
maybe you say
Right.
that. Maybe
yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I
Yeah,
can't
well, yeah,
imagine
maybe
doing
someday. I
that.
mean, they did do
Yeah.
4, but I was saying, you know, with the last one, they
right.
did it out the gate.
Too
Right.
spooky.
All right,
Mm.
Guilty Gear Strive here.
Mm.
I feel like we're cutting it. I feel like this is for some of the same reason and style, where it's like, hey,
Yeah, exactly.
we gave this engine, this style has won this sort of category in the past. I just, it looks fantastic. It doesn't do nearly as much for me now as it did.
Yes,
when they first rolled it out.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, when it first came out,
Yeah.
the Guilty Gear Xrd, that was fucking fantastic. Now it's there's less of an impact for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I can see that one going as much as I love
Yeah.
the style of Guilty Gear Strive.
I just don't think it's gonna make it through the other end.
I know it's not.
For a similar reason here, I don't think Forza Horizon 5 stays on this list.
Really?
Ooh, it's tough.
Wow, I'm
Yeah,
shocked to hear that
that-
from you, but I agree.
That's interesting.
You know, because okay, this game is coming kind of on the heels. Remember that Forza Horizon 4 was sort of an Xbox Series X launch game in that it
Mhm.
was one of the first games to get that Series X version. And that also Forza Horizon 4 ran on the PC, where you could scale it up to all sorts of different, you know, resolutions and frame rates and all this other stuff. So I just feel like this game is coming so hot on the heels of that. And as much as I love I think the environment is much better in 5 than it was in 4.
I think so too. Yeah.
But there was not enough time to make the wheels rounder from 4 to 5. You know, it's like it looks great. It's always looked great for its time, but like it comes so soon after 4 that looked really great as well. It's not. It's also a factor of when I think about the conversations we're having about other games on this list. Like Forza Horizon 5 is like a pretty boring entry in this list to me for those reasons. You know, like of course it looks great. It continues to look great. It's not surprising that it looks great.
Mm.
Forza Horizon 4 looked great.
I
Forza
feel
has
like
always looked great.
like car games have looked really good for a while now, and it's just like,
Yeah.
yep, it looks like a shiny car.
And this is, you know, very similar in terms of the, you know, you have a human character that you're creating and modifying and all other stuff. Like there's just a lot of stuff here that is just straight up out of the previous game.
Yep.
And with that in mind, it's just really hard for me to back it over the other stuff we have on this list, which I think is just like way more interesting and looks a lot better and just kind of doing
I would have
more interesting stuff.
I would have thought its consistency and maintaining that would have kept it on the list, but okay.
Yeah, I just, like when I think about Ratchet, when I think about what we just heard about Resident Evil Village, and I think about, the conversations I think we're likely to have about Kena and Psychonauts 2, like I just, I don't see it winning that out, because for me, it comes with like those big caveats of like, yes, they are continuing to make this nearly annual franchise look amazing and cool, but like, again, these cars have looked good for a decade at this point.
Stop making them look so good. Maybe we'll bring you back next year.
Lower
or make
the
them look
bar.
way better. I don't even know how you would do that.
Add a laser to it.
There you go.
That always works.
Yeah. Returnal?
Unfortunately, a lot of the look of that game is it's just stuck in the first biome for me. Like eventually when you move on to
That's where I'm stuck in it too.
Eventually when you move on to the rest of the game, like it has such a strong start, but it just wasn't enough graphically to just keep me going. Like the weapon effects are great. And like the tentacles on the monsters in the first biome and everything, like they look really good, but yeah, exactly. I think that's what they call it in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't love the enemy design in that game. Like the look of them, like that, just kind of like flowy whatevers. And that's probably the part that really sticks out for me. Like, yeah, I think the later levels in that game look like it looks very different as you go from thing to thing. I will say that initial transition of like the first time you get out of the first area and into the second area, it's like, oh wow, cool. And then that was immediately like, oh, I don't think I actually like the way this looks anymore. Like it just kind of
What's the
artistically
second biome?
big desert.
Is it the desert one? I thought that looked pretty nice, but that's again because I'm a big shitlord for Bekshinsky's work, and it looks like you're playing in a Bekshinsky painting, basically.
I thought you liked the prequel trilogy or something.
but like the draw distance and the sand, like the Mars-like draw distance sand stuff is really nice looking. But yeah,
I think a lot of that ends up being fake, where it's like I think it's the case of like you see that mountain, you can't go there. Like it just it ends up it's more open than the first area is in some ways, but kind of that's not necessarily a best looking thing, but it's just that area I found disappointing.
Should we put the Death Stranding director's cut on best looking?
No, because it looks bad.
Stop it.
Okay. They got rid of the monster cans anyway.
Good.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a graphical downgrade.
Trying to introduce this negative energy into this podcast.
I don't want to
quit that shit.
I don't want to
That
talk
shit to
about
bed.
it. It's a port. It's nice. It's no.
Fair enough.
I just don't. There's some cool stuff happening in Returnal and the later levels and stuff like that, but I don't think I don't think it is like a best looking game.
All right.
The Ascent we have not talked about yet.
Yeah, it's been avoiding fire, I think, thus far. I put it on here because I'm consistently amazed by like the the verticality and the level design and the depth. Just pausing the game and continually find new things in the environment, and I think it's one of the best realized versions of like a cyberpunk, which is done to death, unfortunately. But I think it looks the most realistic out of like the highly fucking brightly colored neon, the bisexual lighting, the everything that's just like so prevalent in that genre. I think this is a muted version of that and a more realistic one. It stood out to me, and I kept coming back because I liked being in that world. It was really cool. Just some of how the NPCs acted. It was just well realized, I think.
The lighting is gorgeous in this game.
Yeah, it's really cool. I dig it a lot, but
Wow.
I feel stronger about some of these other games.
Mm.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think for me, the Ascent kind of, I mean, it's not necessarily the same type of game. It is a similar camera angle, but I just kept thinking about Ruiner the whole time I was playing it.
yeah,
and,
yeah.
And Ruiner kind of went for a more stylish,
Yep.
less
is
realistic
cool.
type of
Which is
thing.
cool.
But
This also looks like a dirtier Ratchet and Clank. You know,
You
like
got
it's
the
got
dirty ratchet.
There's bolts.
Rust.
there's
Mm.
bolts.
Happens, you know?
Yeah, rusty bolts.
No solution for rust in the future.
Nope.
yeah,
No.
no, it's
Big rust, you know?
That's it.
they
Get used to
solved it, and then when the bottom dropped out of the economy, and like no one had time to keep anything up anymore, and
Yep,
then now
it's
it's
the first thing to
I
go.
got my rusty metal arm, and it squeaks, and I can't be a good stealth character because I got a squeaky arm. And, it's a whole,
And
it's a whole thing.
I was really sad to see those YouTube channels be the first thing to go. Getting rid of rust on knives.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
what?
Mm, yeah,
Good shit. Good shit.
you're right,
Yeah.
Jan. You're
All we have
right.
left is the videos now.
The legacy.
So are we okay cutting the Ascent? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
So I'm
Alright.
sorry to see it go.
All right.
looks
So
fantastic.
if you're keeping score at home, or if you're not, we are down to 4 games for best looking game: Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village. It's Kena Bridge of Spirits, right? Not Kenna.
Kana.
Kena.
Aina?
I've said it
Kana.
about 6 times.
Okay,
Kena.
sorry. And Psychonauts 2.
Oh, this is hard.
It's a tough list. I feel like Ratchet stays on.
Yeah.
I feel like Resident Evil
Best
probably
bolts.
stays on.
Best blood.
Yeah.
Best mold.
Bloodiest blood.
Mhm.
Best pinball
and-
mazes for sure.
Pinball. Yeah. Are there any
Oh,
pinball
yeah.
games that look good this year?
Mandalorian.
Yeah, they're
Not
all-
Matrix displays.
Yeah, they're all like in real life. You can
Yeah.
they're all actual material.
so
things.
realistic.
Unlimited
Physical
frames.
objects.
Yeah.
How many frames does
high-
that ball move around? Yeah. That's
About
Many as you dare to
8,000.
perceive.
okay.
Yeah. The limitation is your ocular cognition. I don't know what.
Sure. I don't. Yeah.
It's that. It's your eyes.
I
Yeah, I
really want to see Kana on this list.
I agree. I agree with that. I think for me, I know we kind of flirted with this at the top here, adding Psychonauts at the last minute, but I think again, Psychonauts just does so many things right and so many things really great, but I just don't know if I'm cool with it falling in a best looking category.
I love the look of it. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
the style of it. Not necessarily the style.
right.
Psychonauts 2. It's well realized.
Yeah, I feel like if this was like an
its
art
choices.
direction category, I'd be fighting harder for Psychonauts too.
Yeah, me
Since
too.
it's
Sure,
best
sure.
looking game. It's like, well,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I understand if it has to be left off.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I think I was just to say real quick. I think like what I think we've done here with these 3 are 3 games that were, a palpable surprise of like, oh my god, this game is on a different level in this
That is
category
true.
of like,
Yeah.
whoa, how come we're doing this? This is really impressive that we can do this.
Yeah.
Or they can do this. We can do it, right? So
I mean, I can't do
I
anything.
can do
Hey,
any of
yeah.
this shit.
I couldn't
So-
make Cruelty Squad.
right. So yeah, that we've ticked that very important box in my opinion.
Okay. So our 3 games: Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, Kana Bridge of Spirits. What wins?
I think it's pretty easy. I think for me it's Ratchet and Clank. I think
That is where I'm at as well.
Same.
I just think it is the closest to almost being I don't want to use this word, but
yeah, it's terrible.
it's
but
like flawless almost in a way.
Yeah.
it's and it's such a great showpiece for the speed.
Yeah.
The transition between areas that it can do, even if it is kind of, faking it a little bit here and there, like whatever. Like it looks incredible. It transitions between areas super fast and really impressively. Like it's very stylish. It is the thing I thought you were going to say of the thing I hate to hang on a game Is it like the whole like it looks like a cartoon, like the
right.
the thing we've been saying, or the thing that Sony tried to say when the PlayStation 2 was coming out? Like,
Right.
you're gonna have Pixar quality graphics, and it was fucking
I
horseshit.
believed them
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just
Right.
off by a couple decades, and
yeah.
now you're like, oh,
20 years too early with that.
Mhm.
With that. Here's another scale at which we can place these games on. And I call it the boomer shock scale.
mhm.
Not boomer in the way that people use it today, inaccurately. Actual baby boomers like my fucking parents,
Boom shakalaka.
where like you show them a game like this and it literally freaks them out, where they're scared and they're just like, "What? That's a game?
Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, that's a game." Yes, you know. So that is
Yeah.
the Boomer Shock Award. Definitely,
Mhm.
you know, the needle gets pushed on something like Ratchet and Clank. Like, holy shit!
I also
So-
think, you know, in addition to making everything really good looking in Ratchet and Clank, they made Nefarious hot.
He's not bad.
Yeah, do you want to
not
fuck Nefarious? Is that what you're saying?
Not Dr. Nefarious, Emperor Nefarious. He's a
Oh,
bit
sorry.
fucking fine.
Totally different. Totally
Big
different.
difference,
Yeah.
Bit fucking
You gotta,
fine.
you gotta shoot up. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That accent. Whew.
All right.
Hello.
Really good fur. Really good fur.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Well, it sounds like we've got it. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, the best looking game of 2021.
All right.
Second hottest character in it. Resident Evil still takes that.
Yeah. Resident Evil Village and Kena Bridge of Spirits as your runners up. Wow.
Cool that Kana got up there, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well deserved for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, how about we move on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's.
Let's get into the next category here. It's the best Switch game that isn't on Switch yet. This is fun because I feel like that's something that there's always a handful of games that come out every year that someone just goes like, ugh, I can't believe this game isn't on Switch. Between the Switch's
Seriously,
mix
yeah.
of portability and a touch screen and just all that sort of, there are always a handful of reasons why people just want a damn game on the Switch. And here's the list that we have generated thus far. Super Auto Pets, Inscription, Death's Door.
I think we could take Death's Door off the list.
Is it out? Is it out or
I'm
is it
pretty
coming?
sure it's on. I'm pretty sure it's on Switch.
Oh shit.
Okay,
Oh, whoops.
perfect.
Hold on.
It won and then was
Yes.
eliminated.
It is.
You
Good for you,
graduated.
Death's Door. You did it.
Nice job.
Great.
You won. Moving on.
12 minutes.
Who
Wildermyth,
put this here? Who put that
Genshin
there?
Impact, Solar Ash, and They Always Run.
I think 12 minutes is also on Switch.
Well, let's cut it. I was gonna cut
Why?
it anyway.
Why is
And
it
also,
on
it's
Switch?
not a good game.
Who put it
Well,
on this list?
Yeah, who number one, who did that? Number two, to me, and if we even want to debate the idea, so let's now debate why the game shouldn't be on Switch when it is, okay? Because that game is a time-consuming mess of epic proportions,
Yeah.
right? So it's like that's the last thing I want to do if I'm sitting down in a waiting room, yeah, or you know, some place where it's like I only have a couple minutes. No, fucking terrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm going to write this down on because again, this game is technically a 2021 game.
I know our top three then.
Ooh.
Vampire Survivors, which is again a game that is getting its shine in 2022 for sure, but
Yeah.
did come out in early access late last year, so
Oh man.
kind of a weird one, but not that weird.
I feel like they're being cut early, and I'm sorry, Jan. I also like this game. Super Auto Pets.
Whoa.
Wow,
Because
wow.
it's already on mobile. The most mobile thing ever is mobile. What would
What
it
about
being on
when
Switch? matter?
Lose my fucking phone like right now? I don't know where my phone is.
That's a good
I
point.
know where my Switch is.
Do you have a chain on your Switch that you can use to
No,
put the Switch in your pocket?
I
question.
need one. I need one. Just
Yeah.
God damn it.
Already stabbed me earlier,
I'm sorry.
and now you're just twisting the knife.
The thing I'll say
I-
about Super Auto Pets isn't it primarily an online game?
Yeah, does it need like always on connection?
Yeah, I thought
damn
about
it.
that.
What is the Switch the absolute worst at?
It's several things, but on being constantly online is one of them.
I don't
think-
like its controllers aside from the Pro
Well, yeah,
controller.
I mean, if we wanted to actually turn this category into complaining about why the Switch is actually
Worst
bad,
thing about
actually,
the Switch.
That new dock
it gets
is
worse
pretty
every
good.
year. It's underpowered. It's like these
Yeah.
ports start to show the limits of the Switch a little bit more as time goes on. Genshin Impact, I think, is in a similar boat there of just like, yes, that'd be great because it is on phones and it's cool to play it on a phone sometimes. But an always online video game and the Nintendo Switch, I feel like just don't mix, especially well. And Genshin Impact, I feel great about cutting that one for that reason. Super Auto Pets, I'm a little more like.
Super Auto Pets, it makes sense because that is the whole point of the game, is going against random opponents. And
Yeah. Unless they added some sort of tournament mode,
But even
or
then,
arcade
that would, like-
mode or something
that would
that would change the game
yeah.
drastically.
that would
it's
defeat the
not
purpose of
what
the
It
game
is.
because, like, you're meant to go against people's weird monstrosities of random builds. Like, why would you put garlic on the buffalo? Like, that's odd.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, don't give
Maybe.
the fly the steak. You give it like some honey. Man, I thought that was going to be a lock, but
I'm sorry.
bringing up the bit
Yeah,
where
I
it
did too.
does
Shit.
need to be online all the time, and more often than not, I used to be playing my Switch on a bus, and hot spotting off my phone would be spotty on that commute. So
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah. All right. We're going to cut Super Auto Pets, which I'm with you. Like, until I really sat and thought about it, I looked at that and was like, oh, of course, Super Auto
Yeah.
Pets.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course. Like,
Yeah.
oh, right. All right. So we're down to Inscription, Wildermyth, Solar Ash, They Always Run, and Vampire Survivors.
I think Wildermyth is a lock for this list because I think this would have made my top 10 had I been able to play it on my Switch. Wildermyth, for folks that don't know at home, is a tactical strategy game. Doesn't have the best tiles of the year, though. And it is a story where with each run of the game you're doing, you are kind of controlling your original party's children. You're naming people, and they're dynamically crafting stories. Like, there's been, I've seen
that game.
bits where, someone interacted with a crystal, and that crystal got lodged in their eye, and that characteristic carried on throughout that character's family throughout the game. I think I would
They're all
have.
born with crystals in their eyes?
They all just see shiny.
They're all born.
things.
It's like a circumcision. They pop an eye out and put a crystal in.
Yep.
know.
But I think I would have.
Just like a circumcision.
I think I would have played way more of it, and I think it would have been higher on my list. Didn't make my top 10 had I been able to just like kind of put in a couple runs or play a couple of missions or manage my team on the Switch, before bed. Because there's a lot of there's a lot of fun little story moments that happen like in between your party members, and depending on how you create your party members, because not only can you name them, you can customize their whole looks, and you can create like romance angles between them or friendship angles, and you can get them to perhaps bang or just deepen their friendship.
They
And-
allow that on the Switch?
Banging.
well, maybe. They should. I demand in 2022 they allow banging.
Yeah.
But I think
Fair.
Wildermyth is a strong contender for the top 3 of these remaining games.
Cool.
Good pitch.
Yeah, it's tough to argue with that.
I think that Inscription would be difficult to put on the Switch. I could be proven wrong, but a lot of its little funny gimmicks that it does is based off the fact that you're playing it on a computer. It can be done. Doki Doki Literature Club
I was
is
gonna
on the
say,
Switch.
like, they kind of
They switched up the things they did for Doki Doki Literature Club so that it's not so PC centric. So it can happen. Should they have put Doki Doki Literature Club on the Switch? I'm not sure. It was fine where it was. But I don't know. So I'm kind of like on the fence about whether or not Inscription could make it work the same way that I'm told Doki Doki Literature Club may work. I have not played it on the Switch, so I'm not super sure how they went about it altogether.
Mm-hmm.
I think Act 2
with
could
hotspots on as you're scrolling through stuff like on screen, if it just kind of snapped to different areas on there, I think it's possible. I think we could do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I mean, it might take some re-engineering and
Yeah.
some rethought, some new thinking about how to kind of handle some of that stuff. But
I'm
that's
just worried they might have to rewrite some stuff because, like,
that's,
you
know,
it's like the game's on a
Switch
floppy disk. Like you
Yeah.
might have to
put an
change
SD
some
card into the Switch.
Yeah, change some of the cutscenes to be about SD cards or something. I don't know.
yeah. I don't
might
know
be
that
a
it's
little
on us to
difficult.
solve that problem.
Yeah.
No,
as
it's
a
not,
part of this
but-
category.
Yeah, and I don't think that should necessarily like cut into
Yeah.
chances either, right?
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know. Part of me kind of feels pretty confident about Inscription maybe working on the Switch, or at least in the way that I found myself playing that game. I guess this category is fashioned around the nuances and play styles that you find yourself, I guess, in like the mobile mode of the Switch, right? Not when it's docked, right? Because
Right.
then it's just any console, and who the hell cares? I think for that reason alone, I find the notion of doing 15 minutes at a time, like doing one round of a card fight in Inscription, the attractive Switch proposition. So
Mhm.
I think just on that core kind of fundamental, I like it for that.
Yeah. Like, I've put in way too much time into Griftlands and Slay the Spire on the Switch because, you just want to get rounds of those card games off. But putting Inscription on, and like if they had an unlimited mode with Act 1 and just like
That's
keeping...
what is that? That's Casey's mod or whatever, right?
Casey's mod,
Is that-
I believe.
yeah.
But I'm not sure. There might be some gimmicks in there that I don't know about.
And if you could just keep going with like the card with like the specific deck you have until you get to like finishing Act 1 all over again, or just like an unlimited match mode or whatever, like I could fuck with that super hard on the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, like roguelikes in general do good on the Switch. Like they feel good on the Switch. This feels correct to be on the
Mhm.
Switch. Like how much Binding of Isaac have I played just because it's on my Switch and I'm at the hair salon or something? No, or Hades, or
No.
any of those like run-based rogue type things.
Hades
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, run-based games for sure make a lot of sense in that portable format. Want to talk about Solar Ash a little bit? Do we think that hangs here?
I think I don't know what it is about that game that makes sense on Switch for me. I think part of the thinking is like, hey, that might wind up performing pretty okay on Switch.
Really?
I think was like,
Really?
yeah, I thought like maybe they would figure out some sorcery and
They'd have to figure out some stuff because
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's where my head's going with that a little bit. Aside from that, I just there again, it falls into the same framing of why I think Inscription would lend itself well to the platform, because the game, the way it's designed, sort of mechanically, is you are doing these kind of little bits where you're sort of ticking off these checkpoints in the service of a larger objective, right? You kind of have to like light these beacons that get you towards a sort of boss fight. So I feel like that is maybe why it makes a little sense. And also just the fact that like I don't know, the game has this sense of scale, right, that we talked about in the style category that would probably translate well on a small screen, I think, to help create that sense of scale.
Okay.
But yeah, those are the 2 points that stood out for me.
Okay, I think that makes sense. I think I don't want to get too far down the like, could this run well on the Switch?
Sure.
We are not equipped to actually answer that question. Let's just assume that a port could work.
I am a Switch.
Yeah. Jason, you've written DeMeo down here.
Demio, yeah.
Demio,
last
sorry.
minute edition. I keep thinking about it, and I have been since we started this category. Demio is actually a VR only game right now, but they are porting it to the PC and such. But it's a tactical turn-based, fantasy dungeon crawler essentially. But It's multiplayer, and you don't see a ton of those. That genre, whether it be console or PC, be multiplayer. And I think it would be cool to sit on a rooftop with a bunch of my friends and play Demio.
I'd sit on a rooftop with you.
Demio. Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
that'd be fun.
cool.
No, I think that could be cool, and it would work single player too, because you can save runs and shit like that.
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I would definitely get it on Switch
Okay.
where it released.
I didn't know about this game. This looks dope.
It's
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
I like Vampire Survivors. I think it's a hell of a video game. It's a, you know, if you haven't played it, it's a run-based game that, like, it's basically all movement. You don't shoot. It automatically shoots all your weapons on a cooldown.
Mhm.
And they are all governed by different rules, whether they target the nearest enemy or the direction you're facing, or you know, just left and right out of your sides, or whatever. They all kind of have their own thing, and so it's very, very simple from a control perspective, which I think works in its favor on a Switch. Graphically, it's very, you know, kind of pixel art. It is roguelike with some progression. Roguelike light.
First
in its
of its
progression.
kind.
Yeah.
Roguish.
And I think that yeah, like we said earlier, I think those types of run-based games work very well on the Switch. I don't know, the session time. I guess, like, I don't know. I don't know what the ideal session time is for a Switch game, but I feel like some of my Vampire Survivors runs feel a little too long sometimes.
Yeah.
long do
It's a
they-
game. I feel like that game needs a, hey, you unlocked the ability to start at the 10-minute mark, and make things a little bit harder right out of the gate, instead of just like the slow ramp up that every game starts with. I think it'd be great on the Switch. I think they should absolutely put it on the Switch. I would like to see it on the list.
I could see it hanging around because it, you know, you don't have to be actively engaged with it in those first 10 or so minutes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, that could be
if
good
you
for
put it
some
out
And it
loud.
does. You
watching
eventually
TV
unlock like
and
the
kinda going
hyper
back
mode
and forth.
versions of the levels, which does a little bit of that. But you know,
Like I could see someone popping off their Switch, putting the kickstand on, getting a Joy-Con off, and then just controlling it with the one, because it's kind of like you could play it with one Joy-Con.
you could play it with the motion controls if you really if you wanted to be a real dirtbag.
I'm using tilt controls on Vampire Survivors.
Right.
Maybe.
I think my only caveat with that game is
Yes.
that, like, everything is so tiny that, like, when you translate that to the Switch
Yeah.
screen, it would be a lot of that would get lost because your character's very small on screen. You need to be able to see every little bit that you can, and so zooming in on the action would not solve the problem. Anyway, it would take work to make that ideal in a way that I think might compromise the game a little bit if you couldn't see as much, which is the only knock against it, I think. Other than that, I do think it's a strong. I think that's one that will happen at this point with how popular that game's become. I suspect we'll see it someday, but who knows?
And you don't have to be online for that because you're just playing against the
There you
computer.
go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Oh, that'd be a great bus game.
Just one
like
run per bus ride.
I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Bus
Yeah.
games are the best games.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to ride on a bus, though.
That's true.
Yeah, train games are better.
yeah.
Prefer
What about
train
toilet
games.
games?
Yeah.
Vampire Survivors,
Don't-
you'd spend too
don't
much
blame me.
time.
Yeah.
the
I don't
toilet.
fuck around when I poop. Like, I get in there and I just go.
Vampire
Yeah, me
Survivors
too.
is going to end up being like the best Steam Deck game.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the alternate name of this category is like best fucking Steam Deck game.
I think it's a different set of games though. Like
Maybe.
I couldn't. I only say that because part of the thinking was like
Steam
trying
Deck is so
to-
much more powerful than
Yeah,
a Switch. Yeah.
that what I'm saying. Like that's the thing. There are borders, there are boundaries that you sort of
Yes.
are inherently built into your decision making with this sort of thing for Switch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, where are we going here? It feels like Wildermyth is a lock. Inscription felt like a pretty strong argument.
I'm kind of the more I heard the argument, the more I was into it. So I feel
Yeah.
like the two that I have on lock are those two.
Okay.
I've got a knife out here at the ready for Demio. I've
Yeah.
talked myself into it.
I like
Can
the
we see
idea.
the
Do you
knife?
think like
Can we see the
like
knife?
the VR-ness of Demio is something going to be lost in
Put
translation?
on those
if you
Labo
bring that to the
goggles.
Switch?
Yeah, I've
Oh,
thought
right,
about that
yeah.
too. Like, I think it's easy enough to like rotate the table with, you know, left stick, right stick, if you have a toggle for that. The flourish on your hand whenever you like, you know, turn your hand over and it shows all the cards. I think it's easy just by holding down L or something like that. I think it's easily translatable. I think you lose some of that cool VR-ness, obviously, you know, when you go to, you know, the centralized console version or something like that. But I still
Right.
think it would be fucking cool because that's a genre that doesn't get a lot of multiplayer play.
That's true.
And I think that, yeah, the Switch, I have friends that come over with their fucking Switches and it's like, let's just fucking play something together. So that
You know,
does
I had
happen.
friends.
It's not just on rooftops.
I think Demio might actually be the rare case in this category to play a game docked, because with the Joy-Cons and the motion controls, I think
Oh,
you
yeah.
could still get that feeling of moving your hands around and placing stuff around.
Oh yeah, even with like motion control, even if you were holding it, you know, you can kind of get a look around the environment by moving the switch
That
around.
sounds like a disaster. You are
That sounds-
unselling me on this.
No,
like,
that sounds so
I feel like
cool.
like this game, you know, because they're doing the retooling it takes to put it on consoles and or put it on platforms without VR.
Mhm.
Like that seems like the version you would do and trying to mimic some kind of VR. Like it's that thing of just like you're looking at the thing that you're tilting and you can't see it as well anymore, and that just sucks. I'm not using tilt controls.
You don't make it that pronounced. Like there's been plenty of games, like a Gravity Shift. I want to say Gravity. What the hell is it called?
Rush?
Gravity Rush. Yeah, where you had like in-game cutscenes that were static, but you can move the controller around a little bit just to get like a very small amount of
Right.
like 3D to it. There are ways of doing it, I think, without making you sick or anything like that. I think it's possible.
So it sounds like maybe there's not a ton of support for Solar Ash remaining on the list. It's with some of this
Yeah, I
other
think that's
stuff.
fair. I think-
yeah, we feel
Okay.
okay. We have not discussed They Always Run yet, which I feel like it's
we have not talked about They Always Run enough, I feel like.
yeah.
Well,
That
they're
game
always
seems
running away.
Super cool.
Yeah, they're running. Well, it's just that. Yeah, but you're right. Everyone's running away, left to right, right to left, up and down. Doesn't matter. You got a third arm in this game that we are not talking about enough. Yeah, I think you know, look, selfishly, this is maybe a category just to kind of talk that game up a little more and kind of how much fun I had with it. And I again think for whatever reason, certain games, the way they play, get pigeonholed into this kind of switchable category for a certain reason. They're usually side-scrolling platformers, like this is. There's a really satisfying fighting and melee and fighting system in this game, and you know, that's maybe it's this sort of pick up and playableness of it all being in this modular sort of format where, you know, this, like, for example, playing it on PC, you know, there's a lot. I wish I could sort of just suspend that, right? I wish I could just sort of like not, you know, get my way completely through a level, but just sort of pause it, go do my thing and come back to it. And to me, that is maybe what we're trying to echo in the best Switch game that's not on a Switch.
Yeah, definitely part of it.
So to me, that is a game this is a game I wish I had that functionality with, where I could suspend it, put it down, jump back into it. I don't need to play it on a big screen. You know, that's not what this game's about. it's fun in its own right, and that's what I want to be able to experience on the go. So that's the pitch for me. Again, perhaps a more selfish attempt to just talk about it for another 90 seconds or whatnot, but there you go.
Definitely looks like a game that would translate well to the Switch, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess with those arguments, like I guess I can feel okay about letting go of Vampire Survivors.
I don't know, that
But
seems actually pretty strong. Actually,
Yeah,
I'd like that on the list.
I feel like Wildermyth has to be on there. Then are we cutting Inscription then?
I didn't hear a strong argument for Inscription on the Switch.
Like the kind of story-driven play it through. Well,
Could be done.
like what are we really just talking about? Casey's mod being on there, because that seems like the thing that would make it that pick up and play card game that it kind of actually isn't.
Right.
Like, is Inscription not the thing we're really looking for?
Am I looking for another card game to dive hours into?
Yeah.
It's
I could see cutting Inscription for that then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also because of like what I already said, where it's like you'd kind of have to re-engineer a lot of the tricks it's doing if you are, actually putting Inscription
Sure.
itself on the Switch.
I
That'd be
Yeah,
a pain.
Hypnospace Outlaw tried to do some of that too, and
Oh, yeah,
when it came to consoles, and the Switch
didn't
version
work
is
out,
a little. It's not awesome. It's not
Yeah.
awesome.
No. I
Love
wanted
that
it to
game
be.
to bits.
Yeah, let's cut Inscription here.
Okay.
Hmm.
Mm.
We're down to, if you're at home listening to this with your ears and not your eyes, we have Wildermyth, They Always Run, Vampire Survivors, and Demio.
Demio.
Email.
I did not expect this category to be so contentious.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at what we done did here.
Yeah.
it hurts.
I remember thinking, Jeff, when you brought They Always Run to a UPF, I remember thinking like, oh, go get this on the Switch.
Right.
And then
Oh,
I
shit.
looked, and then it wasn't there.
Right. And it was like when I got when Hunt Down came across my desk, and I was
Right.
like, oh, this better fucking be on Switch. And I was like, all right. That was the
Yeah.
kind of vibe I got with They Always Run.
And I almost would. It's like this. I can't tell if this is a shitty. Like, the thing about They Always Run is that it feels like there are a lot of that type of indie side scroller,
Yeah.
like a Hunt Down, that already exists on the Switch, and I don't.
Sure.
And does that make it more or less
It had friends then.
relevant to this this category? Yeah.
I think I heard more interesting things about possibly porting over Demio, and They Always Run already feels like it should have been a Switch game, that I think I'd be okay cutting Vampire Survivors.
Okay. I think that's kind of where I'm at with the two. Vampire Survivors, they're already doing an engine port that will, get it running, I think, on Linux, that will do the thing you needed to do with the Steam Deck. So,
Well, there you go.
but also, like, for me, the Vampire Survivors thing does become like the tininess of that game, and the way that would look on a Switch screen actually sounds not much fun to me. When it comes to dodging, like the harrowing kind of pixel perfect pathways you have to kind of pull off to get through some of those monsters or get around them. I don't know that the Switch's screen and resolution and all that other stuff is up to it. I'll be curious. I mean, when the Steam Deck does finally come out, and presumably Vampire Survivors will run on it by then, I wonder if that will be fun or not. So I guess, yeah, it's left me with enough questions that I'm okay cutting it.
Okay.
And what's cool is now all these games get to come to Switch.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know,
We've done it. Well, Wildermyth already is. It has been announced for Switch.
Oh, shit.
Or confirmed to be coming to Switch. But like, it's one of those things where, hey, this is a very small team, single. Like, it's gonna take like a year or something for that game to come out, I think is what they said back in December. They Always Run seems like a real shoe-in. I'm surprised in some way that it isn't already there. And then
I gotta play more of that game.
yeah. Demeo seems like the longest route to the Switch because they have to port it out of VR first.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is in the works for other consoles. So I think that would be just another hop.
Yeah. But it seems like Wildermyth is the game.
I'm fine with that.
Cool.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like the winner here based on what we discussed. I think that makes a ton of sense as a Switch game. They should do it. They are doing it. Yay! Everybody wins.
The legend of my Haley Steinfeld continues.
We did it.
Good job.
So for the best Switch game that isn't on Switch yet, it's Wildermyth,
Which
with
is
the runners up. They Always Run, and Demeo. It should be Demeo.
It should. That's how
I agree.
The Mayo.
I agree.
The Demeo. Yeah.
They just
Mayo.
watched a trailer and they were like
Tasty.
Demeo.
Okay.
Kana.
That's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Kana.
Demeo. Yeah.
Demeo.
Okay. Got it.
there.
Got it.
There we go. Just needed some additional ease.
Okay. Congratulations to everyone involved. Why don't we take one more break here and we'll come back with the last of our supplemental categories, most disappointing.
Wow.
This list is long.
It's gonna break
This
some
might-
hearts.
This might take a bit.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
God, I got to relive all this.
We're back. And now it's time for most disappointing.
Oh, do we gotta?
Yeah, it's
Negative part of the podcast. Don't
This-
complain. You know what you're getting
you need
into.
to get the bad feelings out sometimes, right? You need to have the tough
Yeah.
talks.
Cathartic. Yeah, I get it.
this ended up being the longest list of any category.
I think this is
A lot
longer
of-
than our
Really,
collective
yeah.
games of the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
A lot of
not sure what that
personal
says
beefs.
about the year in games, or what. But let's run down the list in alphabetical order here. Here's the short list, the not so short list for most disappointing. 12 minutes. Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX. Ugh. Aliens Fire Team Elite. Back 4 Blood. Balan Wonderworld. Battlefield 2042. Call of Duty Vanguard. Cruisin' Blast. Deathloop. Destruction All-Stars. Diablo 2 Resurrected. Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. A lot of D's. Far Cry 6. Game Builder Garage. Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition. It Takes Two. Outriders. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. Popeye. Riders Republic. The Medium. And WarioWare Get It Together.
Outriders.
We need to
Three
come
list.
to a list of 3.
Yeah.
Outriders and Balan Wonderworld. Those are 2021. That's not like
How is that?
Yeah. That's
what the
I mean, let's I'm
gonna
going to
offer
double
up-
check on Balan Wonderworld because like you, I feel like there's no way that game. No, that's that came out
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
March.
Same thing with Outriders, yeah, because I was kind of flirting with the idea of putting it on my game of the year list because I played a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that I enjoyed a lot of it, but it was just like it was there. There was nothing else going on at the time.
Yep.
It played just fine. It looked okay, but it moved 0 needles for me.
Outriders, I don't think it was disappointing. I think if anything, I was
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised by Outriders because I feel like
Yeah,
every
yeah.
time they showed it pre-release, it was just like this looks
It's kind of rough, yeah.
like a fucking whatever Gears of War, whatever.
Right.
And when it
favorite
came in,
genre.
it was like this game's fine.
Yeah.
It's not awesome.
Yeah.
It's all right. You could do a
Second.
lot worse than Outriders.
Totally.
Sure.
That's taken off the list.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Yeah.
cut. kinda-
Cruise and
not
Blast,
quick, but-
I was led to believe was good, and I don't think
Who
it
told you
is.
that? Who
Yeah.
told you the soundtrack was good?
Grub Snacks.
Really?
No,
the-
This is a good game.
What?
It's a good game.
Did you ever play a game called Cruis'n USA? Now that's a good game with good music.
Look,
Coming soon to the Ultra 64. Cruising.
I mean, Cruis'n Blast is fun. I don't want to sound like a Grub or a Reichert here, but like there is genuine arcade racing shenanigans and tomfoolery for the whole family in that game. It's fun.
That game, was originally an arcade game and did come home in 2021. I don't think it's top 3. I think Cruis'n Blast is like not a very good game.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's not on my top 10 list, but
and I think again, like knowing what the original Cruis'n USA theme sounds like, and then also I might even take the Cruis'n World theme to be hyped up as to how good the music in Cruis'n Blast was, how good that theme music was, to then go hear it for myself. It sucks in comparison to Cruis'n USA and Cruis'n World.
Yep.
Ugh.
I'm with you.
Fair criticism. It's fair.
Sorry, Grub. But
don't apologize.
You have no taste. That's right.
I want to get one of mine off the list because it's just going to be too dramatic if it actually makes it anywhere up the list. Deathloop. I know so many people like it. I know. I found it incredibly disappointing because I feel like it was advertised to be a different thing than it was, and I found it to be a really basic bitch shooter game.
Like the Suicide Squad movie.
Oh boy.
Wow.
What? Oh no, I like that movie.
The second one is good. The second one is good.
Okay.
Talk about the first one.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Say.
But yeah, it was personally very disappointing to me because I felt like there was some false advertising. I had the completely wrong idea of what this game was going to be. It is not what I consider to be a time loop mystery game. There isn't much. And also,
I think if you like Arcane's other games, I think that it's
which I don't mind. I mean, I liked Prey.
Okay.
A decent amount. I played all of Prey. I didn't like the endings terribly much.
No.
But I liked the whole thing.
Like Deathloop feels like kind of a dumbed down is maybe too negative, but like it's a honed version of those games designed to attract a wider audience, and I think they're successful at that. But I think if you really liked Dishonored, you're gonna play Deathloop and be like, man, this is like one of those with like all the cool shit like sanded off the edges.
Like I have been told that if I want what I was thinking I wanted, I should play Prey Moon Crash. That's what I actually want to play.
That was a good time loop game.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. It's actually supposed to be a time loop game. So I am looking forward to getting around to playing that. It's good to know that. But yeah, I feel like Deathloop was disappointing just because I felt like it was flying into my face with those trailers and all that stuff. And it's like,
I think they deliberately.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, they deliberately. I feel like they almost went out of their way to not talk a lot about that game before it came out, and then there was a real element of like until Bacalar got access to a build of it. There was a real like, I'm not 100% sure what the fuck this game is.
Yeah,
totally.
It took a really long time.
Yeah.
It was just a shooter to me. There was nothing for me going on there that's interesting. It's the same as any other stylish looking shooter, like your BioShocks or fucking whatever.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Yes. No, that's fine to cut. I guess the thing I would say to that is that they don't make a lot of those types of shooters anymore because they just make Call of Duty and Battlefield, and that's not true. Bright Memory, whatever. There's other stuff, but
yeah.
I don't like want to play those. I don't play those because I don't like those. So it's just like,
I'm not sure that I like them anymore after this year. Yeah. Destruction All Stars is a game that I thought was okay. The disappointment there is like it was just okay, and it as a big online game, no one played it, and so even if you did like it, you had no options there. They just patched it recently in a way that makes it seem like it's going to go free to play, perhaps, as some kind of attempt to bring people back to it. But I don't think that. I can't imagine a world in which that works.
The way that they promoted it kind of had me feeling like maybe this is going to be another Rocket League. Who knows? They're going to put it on PS Plus. Maybe it'll blow up. Who knows? But it definitely did not have that,
and not good enough to necessarily do that either. I don't think it necessarily deserved that. But disappointment is not what we're looking for, or rather,
it kind of is.
Yeah, it is what we're looking for, but not that game is not the best example of that.
I also want to volunteer to take off another one of mine. It Takes Two, for the same reason as Deathloop, because a lot of people like it, and it's not gonna.
Well, fuck a lot of people. I mean, but
Yeah, if you're into it.
yeah, I think my thing would be like, I did not care much for the previous work the studio has done. So when they're like, we're making more of that, I'm like, yeah, of course you are.
What's funny, what's interesting is that I played A Way Out with my partner Josh. I totally liked it. It was fine. It was weird. It was, it was a little funny. It was, just charming in the right ways where I'm like, all right, I'm intrigued by this it just kind of felt like a little like goofy kind of TV show. Like didn't take itself too seriously. Didn't have too much of a big point behind it. It was just a story about, criminals doing stuff. And it was fine for that. So I was like, all right, like they're making another co-op thing. I had a good time with that co-op thing. Okay, whatever. And It Takes Two, I will, give it this. It has really excellent sound design and excellent motion. Like it feels good to play.
I think it looks good too.
And it's got like pretty okay puzzles and stuff like that. But the writing in that game, the constant jibber jabbering of the characters, how unlikable they are throughout the whole game. They don't get any more likable, honestly. They really don't. They don't seem to change very much as people. It's very surface level, vapid stuff. It was such a turnoff. Like even if the game is a little bit fun and it feels good to play, it's like this story, which it's really hinging on the story. The divorce story is like a big deal, right? That it's a big old divorce story where it's like, let's not get
fun.
divorced, maybe, So you start off with these two characters that are extremely, extremely annoying and awful people to each other, in general, and they get mildly less annoying over time. And there's also an incredibly annoying book that is
right,
with a Spanish accent who's always pelvic thrusting at me.
Yeah.
We're gonna fix your relationship. It's like, shut the fuck up. And the game thinks this character is the funniest thing ever. They love this guy, Dr. Hakim. This game smells its own farts a lot with its own writing, and I feel like it is not well written enough or charming, like at all.
Fucking brutal. That just sounds fucking brutal.
To spend so many hours with these people and this book, who I hate, and don't get funnier and don't get more charming over time, was just torture. Even though the gameplay was fine. I've played other co-op games where it's like, this is also fun. I think that the thing that impressed people a lot about this game is, A, it looks pretty good, and B, couch co-op games are not super common these days, especially ones with plots. And I want more of those. Like, don't get me wrong, that shit's cool, but it's like, this is so weirdly written and so irritating, and the actual plot is nowhere. It's just forcing these two people to spend a lot of time together doing tasks, and they barely grow from it. And each level transition is just them literally getting like shot out of one level and landing in another level and going, oof, oh, that hurt, like every fucking time.
You're
making repeating dialogue.
The way you're talking about this makes me want to keep it on this list.
I want to keep it just to dangle the carrot of like,
divorce.
Wouldn't it be so sick? Wouldn't it be so fucking sick if we made the Game Awards best game of the year our most disappointing?
Oh, don't tempt me. I really want to, but I know it's wrong.
Yeah, let's leave it for now. It sounds like it could maybe make the 3 here. Riders Republic. I
didn't even
added
talk about, like, really quick. I did not even talk about. I'm not going to the thing that people talk about the most about that game. I did not even bring up the big bad part that people won't shut the fuck up about that game.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll save that later.
Yeah, maybe there's room.
That might come in handy later. Riders Republic, as a follow-up to Steep, I had a little bit of hope for it, and then it turned out to be equally as uninteresting as Steep was.
Oh, and yeah, I mean, I think with this one, their expectations were not super high.
Yeah. It doesn't make top 3. It's
like, I'm with you. This game's a disappointment, but it also falls into the like, well, what'd you fucking expect? sort of
Yeah,
thing,
no, that's
too.
like if you were disappointed by Riders Republic, that's on you.
Yeah,
If
you're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Balan Wonderworld is just bad. I don't think it's disappointing per se. Like it'd be nice to live in a world where that turned out to be a good game.
That would be the surprise. Like,
Yeah.
I had zero expectations for this.
I didn't have any expectations either. I just think it's a shame. Like,
Yeah, it's a
you
shame,
know,
but it sucks. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just so
Like,
slow. It's not fun. It's just the if we think about the expectation and hope going into that, it's kind of it's. I don't think it's going to make
Misplaced.
top 3. Yeah.
On that same
I don't
tip,
think.
I think we get rid of Popeye. I had zero expectations for Popeye. In fact,
What?
it was our
yeah.
dreaded
Oh, it's a-
community
Yeah.
that was like,
That was
"Oh,
a
you should
banger
play this."
fucking arcade game, man. Oh fuck!
Not
If
that
they
one.
had-
I'll say I was pretty disappointed because I saw that like, hey, someone put out a Popeye
Yeah.
and like they said like, hey, and it's kind of evocative of the original arcade game.
Exactly. If they had half that fucking game.
Yeah, which
It'd
I was
be
like,
good.
that's classic early Nintendo. That's a weird. I played the Atari home computer version of that for probably hundreds of hours.
I played the arcade, yeah.
And I was like, man, I like that Popeye game quite a bit. And so there was a part of me that was like, I gotta know what's up with this game that is meant to look like the old Popeye.
They
When I saw it,
invoked the fucking arcade version of Popeye.
but they didn't. That's the thing. They say on the page that it's meant to, and then you play it, and you're like,
meant
this
to.
is just a gigantic piece of
That's what
fucking
I'm saying.
shit.
They brought up the name of original
Yeah.
Popeye.
I feel like that's like if there was like a most criminal game.
Oh, with a bullet.
Game
it's-
crime. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this fucking thing might as well be dropping fucking NFTs out of it. It's such a crime. And but I don't think it makes my top 3. There's other stuff on here that I'm much more pissed off about.
Yeah,
Well, like, yeah.
there's gonna be a lot of
Yeah.
like bottlenecking soon.
The thing
so.
is about this category is that it's not worst game of the year.
No,
it's
it
most
is not. No.
disappointing.
Yes, exactly.
So
Yeah.
like that's something to keep in
That's
mind.
the tricky
like,
part.
Yeah.
It is unsurprising in some ways that a game such as this is as shitty as it is. So,
Yep.
we can kind of move on. Let's see here.
Let me offer one up.
Okay.
Jess, I know your issues with the medium.
Mhm.
You're very vocal about that. You've been on record as saying that, a lot of things were stolen from whatever. But are you surprised at all by the Bloober team?
This
for
is the
doing this.
weird thing. I'm disappointed that no one else has noticed that Bloober team is not good at making video games. They keep getting away with it. They keep stealing stuff and doing jank ass stuff, and people are consistently impressed by it, and I do not know why. They stole stuff from E.T., they stole stuff from tons and tons of movies and Layers of Fear 2 and called it homages, and it's like, is it an homage if you're just one-to-one taking something that was cool in something else and just putting it in your thing? Is that an homage or is that just stealing? And they do it a lot, and nobody has really noticed or cared that much about it. It's only been like kind of recently that the tide's been turning a little bit on them, and it's largely because of people making video essays saying like, hey, did you notice they just ripped this whole thing off? The medium's no different, and I'm just, thankfully it didn't review super duper well, but I think it's disappointing that they really wanted to be, they keep going on, and they really wanted to be a Silent Hill game, and there are rumors that they might be working with IP at some point soon. We are not pleased as Silent Hill fans. I don't speak for all of us, but, because they keep stealing shit from Silent Hill, just being like, look, remember that from the thing that's better than the thing you're playing now? Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Isn't that fine though? Because the bar
Yeah.
for all of these like YouTube reaction, Twitch streamer horror games is so fucking low that it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't want all horror games to be that level of bullshit. I don't want Silent Hill to be demoted to that level of like jump scare haunted house, haunted hayride bullshit. If something can startle a cat or a baby, it's not actually scary. It's just startling, right?
Mhm.
And
I mean,
the
I
medium
don't
doesn't
like
even
scared
do
babies, yeah.
Yeah, the medium doesn't even have, it has like one jump scare in it. It's total bullshit. It's out of nowhere. It has nothing to do with anything. And the rest is just fucking boring. It's not even scary. It's not even trying. And they had this cool dual screen something for
Yeah.
puzzles.
Mhm.
And that was disappointing too, because all it does is make your
Yeah.
computer explode.
That didn't work
Um,
too well.
That does sound nice.
And
Yeah,
it makes
as
you stop
attractive
playing
as
the
that
medium,
sounds.
which is nice.
I
you go.
But
think
it doesn't even work. Like it doesn't physically work, and it also does not work with the puzzles that they're using it for, because your dumb lady that you're playing just straight up tells you what to do next and doesn't let you solve anything. So it's like, why are you even doing this mechanic if you're just doing it to be like, look, can we have the Silent Hill IP? Pretty please. That's disappointing. And they also took Zdzisław Beksiński's work and it's just like, well, we're Polish. We'll just yoink, take our beloved,
They
national
share a
treasure
lot.
of an artist
That's their culture.
The Poles.
and just one-to-one recreate it without any nuance to it. It's just, let's walk through the Zdzisław Beksiński Museum and occasionally a very boring hotel until the game stops.
So I think you said it too, right? Like the most disappointing is when you are let down in a way that is disproportionate to like what you had going into
Yeah,
it, right?
the expectations, and I think when you take into account the track record of the developer
Right.
at some point, like
Cool
And
name.
I
though.
liked Observer.
You know.
I thought Observer's good. Like I like that game.
Observer is the least bad of
Yeah,
Bloober
it's,
Team stuff.
it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. So
Rutger
Yeah.
Hauer's performance, on the other hand.
yeah. But
well,
yeah,
He phoned
I
it
think I had no expectation really
Jeez.
going into the medium. I think I did a quick look on it with Alex back in the day
Yes,
last
you
year.
did.
And it's bad. It's not a good game. It was
Yeah.
upsetting. I thought I liked it for 10
I
minutes.
used clips of that quick look in my video about why the medium sucks.
Did you fucking credit us?
Yeah, I was.
I
Gonna
did.
say-
Okay.
I absolutely
All right.
did.
You hear
I
from the
put
lawyers.
it in the
Good.
corner. I cited my
Um,
sources. I'm
goddamn.
good like
So, yeah,
that.
So yeah,
This feels like there are arguments to be made against the medium, but it doesn't feel like most disappointing is the argument. It's like
Yeah.
someone needs to step in and stop Bloober Team.
I'm disappointed in other people.
Someone's
Yeah.
gotta pull the plug on the,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
fucking electricity.
I'm not surprised. I'm disappointed in other people for
Yeah.
Okay.
not calling them out and continuing to, whoever's giving them money to let them make games, stop it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've been sitting on the fence on this for quite a long time. This is my biggest disappointment here, personally, which is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl.
I heard it was disappointing though.
from me, emphatically.
No, like in the ether, I thought there were some people being like, "Yeah, this ain't it."
So a little bit of background. For as long as I've worked here at Giant Bomb, anytime a mainline Pokemon game, like a re-release or like Sword and Shield has come out, it has always been my number one. This year, we had 3 Pokemon games come out. Pokemon Unite,
Yep.
New Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. And yes, it can be too many. And the other part of that is Gen 4, which is Diamond and Pearl, is my favorite generation of Pokemon.
Wow.
It got me back into the series. I played an obscene amount of it on my bus rides home. I am very tied. I still have like the DS card for that because it means that much to me in that time in my life. So I was super hyped to hear that they are remaking Gen 4, and I was thinking like, okay, cool. Like wasn't immediately wowed with the direction they took with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but then they wound up turning that into a game that I genuinely enjoy and I think is a fantastic gateway for people wanting to enter the Pokemon series or re-enter the Pokemon series. Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl has too many feet in the past for it to actually make sense as a modern game. Like they add some quality of life stuff, like you can access your Pokemon box from wherever, and then eventually they let your companion Pokemon follow you around. But the thing that I absolutely hate in Pokemon, and there's a huge camp of people that are the opposite of this, I hate random encounters. I hate
Me too.
not being able to see the Pokemon in the real world. I hate having to run around bushes to try and catch the one thing and continually encountering other Pokemon that I don't care about.
Yeah.
I think in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it added so much to be able to see the Pokemon out in the real world that it added some stuff of like, oh look, it's a Dragonite in the sky. Holy shit! Here it's just like, all right, cool. There's that trainer hiding over there. I guess I'll just avoid him. And it just pumped me the hell out that I didn't even finish this game. You know, like, and that says a lot for me personally to not finish a Pokemon game. That I couldn't be pushed to do so because of how much it bummed me out. And like, I don't necessarily care about them choosing the graphical style of having them be little chibi characters to kind of emulate the top-down look of the original. You know, Sword and Shield, I go back and forth on whether or not it looks good, but what it still has is the Pokemon in the overworld, and it feels like a world. Here, this just feels like a set of maps that you're like going through. Not enough Bidoofs can save this game for me.
Really?
Yeah. And then
that's very damning. Yeah.
And I know that like Pokemon Sword and Shield didn't have any type of voice acting, but then I feel like I need some type of voice acting, or I need some type of vocal inflection like they do in Animal Crossing to add some personality to these people. Like, we can talk, people talk about like the writing in Pokemon games all that they want, but for me, like, I feel like we're in 2022. You can add some type of voice acting in some of the scenes. At least you can have some type of vocal inflections. We don't need to keep the same roars from Pokemon from fucking 1997. You know,
Buku Pokemon bucks. Yeah, they could afford that shit.
And that's the thing. Like, you know, Pokemon is probably one of the most recognized IPs in the world outside of Disney, that you think they could throw some money at it to fucking make a better game. And it just hurts me inside that my favorite generation is not up to snuff with all the, because you see so many clones of Pokemon out on the market. Like Temtem does a fantastic job at trying to recreate that formula. And so many others there are trying to pull upon the inspiration of the original Game Boy Color games, or I'm sorry, Game Boy games, that are adding really great things. A better Pokemon game came out this year, and that's like Shin Megami Tensei, you know? And like, there's voice acting in that, like, and it's also on the Switch, you know? And each of those monsters actually feels like it has a personality. And and the thing is, like,
and one of them looks like a gigantic demon dick.
Exactly. Exactly. Jack Frost is in that game, ho. And like, you know, it's the same rehash thing of like, I'm so fucking tired of these Pokemon not actually attacking, you know?
Damn, son.
Yeah.
Like, it says it does like a fire punch, and it just like shakes the character. And like, it's cool in some aspects, but I need Pokemon to fucking join us in the modern day that we live in.
Yeah,
you want that first-person shooter with Pokemon that someone put out footage of, and the Nintendo's been taken down.
Immediately killed it. Yeah,
I get it.
Of course.
Sicko.
Our idea.
No, I get it. That's a huge amount of disappointment. And it's not just like you were coming in with like fucking low expectations. It's like, I'm fucking sick of this. Please bring this up to, you know, modern standards.
And they have done better before with, you know, some of the other stuff that even came out recently. Like, that's even crazier in a lot of ways. Let's leave that on the list for now.
Like, they can't keep getting away with this sort of thing.
Right. Well, they very much can.
They can though. Yeah. Like, they can, and it feels wrong. Yeah, it feels wrong.
To just have deleted this after Jan's rant, like, really. It's
like, well, that's not going to make it anyway. See it.
Tough shit, Jan. Later.
All right. Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX is a game I find disappointing, and it's also insane that they made it.
Because those games fucking suck to begin with.
And that's why we're taking it off, is because at the end of the day, go back and play Alex Kidd in Miracle World. That game sucks. It's bad. It always was. I am sad that they didn't fix it, or like make, like, they put in new graphics. They did some stuff to it. I wish that they
added some loving touches to this. Like, you know, for whatever reason, they love this game, and you know, tried to treat it as best they could.
Yeah.
And I'll give them that. But at the end of the day, it's like,
It's not top
That's
three.
Alex Kidd.
And it's, you know, I would love to see like a great Alex Kidd game come out. That would be cool.
I learned how to play rock, paper, scissors from Alex Kidd.
Yeah, I think
Thank
I
you.
did as
Thank you for
well. But you know, it ain't gonna stick. Aliens Fireteam Elite, I put on here because that game is just an incredibly mediocre and repetitive co-op shooter in the same vein as a Back 4 Blood, Anacrusis, Left 4 Dead, whatever. Like it's another one of those, as they say. I don't think they do a good job with aliens. I think they really think, and a lot of these games do this, they really think you're going to want to play these levels over and over again. And boy, oh boy, my first time through that first campaign, I was like, I fucking hate this. Like, it's just the unlocks came at abysmal times, all this other stuff. At the same time, the track record for games in the Aliens universe, as much as you think that should be some kind of slam dunk,
Man,
it's been fucked up more than it's gotten right. So clearly, it's not the easy win you think it might be. So I don't think it's top three based on what we're talking about here. Some of these other,
What were you expecting?
some of these other heavy hitters. Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, the next Aliens game's coming out shouldn't inspire you to go, oh, fuck yeah. It should be like, well, maybe they'll get it right this time, but probably not, because they rarely do.
Brace myself.
Yeah.
What was wrong with WarioWare? What was?
Oh, god damn it.
Get into this. I want to get
was it like
deep into
switching
this.
around to 3 different characters? Would you have preferred to just like do the one?
Or it's choose your characters, or
so yeah, you can. So the gimmick in WarioWare, Get It Together for the Nintendo Switch, is that you know, they always have something, right? It's like, oh, this is the touchscreen game. This one you tilt it. This you do this. This one is you play as different characters each time, and different characters do different things. Like, oh, like the doctor can kind of swim around the level, and so he pushes blocks this way because he can swim around. Another character just shoots, but can only shoot to the right. And so you're like, oh, okay, so I need to get on the left side of this block and shoot it to move the block over. And so it's like different ways to accomplish the same task. All of those different ways are kind of crappy. But some are worse than others, you know, and some are built like the character that can only shoot to the right is because it's kind of built for, oh, you play this part 2-player and the other player can shoot to the left. And so it adds this additional layer of like, okay, I've seen this micro game before. I know how to solve it, but how do I solve it with this character? And when you go into a stage, you pick multiple characters. So it'll kind of be random in a sense of like, oh, which character am I going to get with which mini game? And this one I need to do this, or I need to jump and hit it with my head to hit it here and do this, or I need to grappling hook do this, and it's a handful of different ways to tackle these things, but none of it feels good, and none of it feels great the way WarioWare should. And then you get to the end of the game, and there's kind of nothing there. Like WarioWare has been this amazing like playground for weird unlockables and just fun, goofy stuff and little mini games and just all this sort of fun things that you luck your way into after beating the game, or, you know, just different ways to unlock the different stuff. There's basically none of that here. And so it's just lifeless. It is this.
It's disappointing.
Yeah. And that WarioWare is one of Nintendo's most amazingest franchises. That whole series has been fucking tremendous. With rare exception, this is the worst one of these they have ever made.
Yes, without a doubt.
That definitely qualifies for most disappointing.
Yeah.
All right.
And
they seem to have like made this choice, like you described, to take it in these very granular, almost single dimensional kind of like characters, and it kind of just destroyed the fabric of like what makes that game unpredictably fun.
Yeah, there were moments I had with it where I was like, yeah, there's a little bit of WarioWare in here, or you see a micro game here and there, you're like, oh, cool, awesome. But man, they just fucked it up so bad. And again, the lack of unlocks, and it just feels like this. WarioWare has felt like this very lovingly crafted thing of like, here's our goofy jokes and you're gonna pick some noses in here and do this, and there's just a bunch of weird gross out stuff that it's like it feels like Nintendo kind of like playing a fun prank, you know, just like Nintendo let it hang loose a little bit in a way that they rarely do.
Right.
This like feels like it doesn't have as much of that. It's not as lively. It doesn't play nearly as well, and it just the gimmick is bad.
Adding to the gimmick, like there's a certain flow that happens when you're playing a WarioWare game, and then adding the extra element of having to expect what to do in a level, but then have to adapt and like, okay, well, which character do they give me this level? I think
That's
ruins
another layer I don't need.
Yeah, it ruins the flow.
Yeah,
it becomes a planning situation instead of a reaction game, I guess.
Yes. That part definitely gets in its way. Also, this game, I'm furious about this game. I had kind of forgotten about it a little bit, and it wasn't even on this list until last night as I was looking through a list of releases, and I got there and just like I felt like my face get hot. I was like,
see, I'm with you. And I think in any other year for me, this game is without a doubt making it all the way through. But I don't know. That's just for me.
I don't know either. I can't cut it yet though. I just
no.
Like this is my personal like this is the most disappointing thing that came out last year. For sure. I also put Diablo 2 Resurrected on the list, which I found to be, it's disappointing. It launched super broken.
Yeah, true. But
and I wish that they did a little bit more to it, but they kind of said like, hey, we're remaking Diablo 2. It didn't mean, and they came out on console, and specifically the console versions did not get the level of attention that Diablo 3 did on console when it came to adapting those controls and concepts over. They did some basic work, but it's still like the menus just suck and all that sort of stuff in ways that are just like, this is not the way to play this game. Whereas Diablo 3, when it came to console, you're like, this is a totally viable way to play this game.
Yeah.
They did great UI work to make it all work. This just doesn't have that.
So good.
Yeah. And so that's disappointing. It's not top 3.
Okay.
I want to nominate Cutting Back for Blood. I don't know what other people's grievances with it are. It's one of my top 10 games of the year. I think people go back and forth on the card system that they introduced, but I do think that the card system does add like a layer of catering to different playstyles. Like one of my homies only ever swung a bat in that game, so he was the ammo mule for the whole group of boys. And like the medic stuff, you can actually play like a hardcore medic, and your you get heals for healing other people, and that can kind of make you a tank in that game. There's definite parts in it where I think the AI director is a little bit too much bullshit. But I think it is a good one of those games to come out
I don't
year.
You know, I didn't love Back for Blood, but I also like this feels like right in line with just like the thing they said they were making. They made it, and for better or worse, it's that. And I don't love it, but
I don't think anyone here is angry at this particular.
I ended up liking it a little bit more than I thought I would. I guess I'll say.
Fine. It was fun.
Cool.
I think I'm ready to take something off that might be pretty surprising.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to say we could maybe take Vanguard off this list. Because again, it probably doesn't make it all the way through on account of how the bar was not maybe necessarily very high. Expectations were running at the best lukewarm for this one, at least for me. This campaign is not good. The multiplayer,
worst campaign they've done in a long time.
The multiplayer, I found myself out of the last 3 games just jumping off it the fastest I've ever. And that's not just because of the sort of like, lamenting the gameplay, but also because the online experience has just been well below average performance wise.
I keep forgetting this game exists.
Yeah, I mean it is wildly unremarkable, and I think it just has not made an impactful presence at all. That
Yeah.
said, I don't think it is on a level that is disappointing, a more tangible level of disappointment than some of the ones that are still left on this list.
Totally. And remember, it's the follow-up to Black Ops Cold War, a game that was also in its own way, I think, pretty disappointing. So
disappointing, but somehow here we are a year later, it's a better game than Vanguard.
Yes, it is. But both are worse than Modern Warfare.
Yeah,
I would still say.
Which again, here we are 2 years removed, and like that game, looking back, is almost this sort of like pinnacle. So
well, you'll get your sequel to it this year, from the sounds of things. So we'll see if they can get it back on track. But yeah, I agree. Vanguard is maybe the worst one of these they have made in a good long time, but it felt like they were already on this downward trajectory to the point where, like, when they even announced Vanguard, it was just like, whatever, who cares?
Yeah, it's probably the worst one since like Ghosts.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. I'll say this though, I finished the campaign in Ghosts.
I mean, was that because it was like this strange like launch game?
Probably.
Right?
And I was reviewing it, and there was just probably a lot of other reasons. But like this game, I got a few levels into this campaign. I was just like, I actively dislike these. I don't care about these characters, this story, the whole thing. Like, I just don't give a shit. They really fucked it up. But it's not most disappointing.
Tell me about Far Cry 6. I forgot that came out.
Yeah, that's another one where I think
Guapo.
Far Cry 6 is them continuing to turn the Far Cry crank without doing enough to it, and that's disappointing. They've been well overdue for a much larger retooling of what Far Cry is, I think, for a few games now. And the stuff they did in Far Cry 6 to try to differentiate it, I think, doesn't hit. But it's not top 3. It's not top 3.
I also heard that, like, that's the one with Giancarlo in it, right?
Oh, Esposito. Okay, right. I'm like, well, I mean, he was working at Ubisoft when that game came out.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Okay, that guy. Whatever.
That guy. Sorry. And I heard that he was like not utilized good and was phoning it in, and it wasn't a very compelling performance at all. But like so much of the advertising was like, look,
he's the worst of them.
Yeah,
got him.
Yeah. It's stuff was fucking corny. And yeah, I don't know. Far Cry 6, it's not a good game, but again, I think if you look at the trajectory of the Far Cry franchise, it's not exactly surprising that Far Cry 6 is a bad game. I initially, when I first started playing it, I was like, you know what, maybe I am ready for another one of these. And then I got a little bit deeper into it and got to the point where it's like, oh, now you can send a dog out on a mission, or whatever. Like you find mission boards, you can send crews out to do stuff, and you're trying to feed a dog. And I got to a point with it where I was like, oh, I don't want to do any of this shit. And then stuck with it for a while after that. Even it was like, I'm super done. Everyone else bounced off it within a couple of hours, and to them I say, congratulations, you got off light. I spent way more time with it looking for a better game than was there.
Tell me about Game Builder Garage. What is disappointing about that?
It's not Game Builder Garage is Nintendo making a game that you can use to make games. And so it's a series of tools you can use to create logic and build different little fun games in a variety of styles and formats and all this other stuff. Polygonal, kind of more 2D.
Perhaps?
Yeah, Dreams light. And then they didn't include a good way to upload your game to a server and have it be browsable by other players. Like the sharing mechanisms are not there in a way that, like, even Mario Maker, for as shitty as the Mario Maker level stuff sometimes was, but even Mario Maker did it better.
That is very strange that they didn't let you upload your stuff.
Yeah, it is just incredibly half-assed. Half-baked, half-assed. I don't mean to say it's lazy. It's not, but it is not the game it needed to be, and it was there and gone in a way that I wish it wasn't, because there was some cool promise.
I also want to mention that I think the game's title was translated poorly. Game Builder Garage in Japanese is called First Game Programming. So it's
Yeah.
clearly more geared towards little kids. Don't expect too much. I
But, like,
think that
Oh,
might
that's
have
interesting.
Yeah,
might
but
have
like
changed the expectation that came with it, but
the
still,
tools
your
there
point
are still
stand.
cool. Like, I'm not saying that it's like as a tool set and all that other stuff. Like, it's still neat, and you can make really neat things. It really is just that you can't share that stuff easily, and
Mm.
Yeah.
I wish the tutorials were like a little bit. That maybe is the part where it being like a first programmer sort of thing. Whatever, I'm not a programmer. I could benefit from some first programming. But yeah, some of the tutorial stuff was a little long-winded, and it's one of those things where it's like, just let me skip through the prompts a little bit faster because I can read.
Yeah, I think like it seemed to be that with its name being originally that, it was more obviously geared towards like kids, and not like adults being like, come on, I know these tutorials are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I just
there's
wish
that
the sharing was
context,
better
but
because it
still,
was fun to, like, someone made a third-party website like they'd had to do with Mario Maker to like try to share codes for games and stuff, and going through that, it was like there was really some fun stuff there, but not enough to warrant going back to it. That said,
Yeah.
it's very easy to see a world in which this is boned up in this exact way. I don't know that it was like, again, one of those games you kind of forgot existed, and
Not
not
enough to
something
make you
that I have a
angry.
white hot fury for.
Right.
Yeah, you've stayed the same shade.
Yeah.
White
this
Hot
chat.
Fury is what
Yeah.
we want.
Battlefield 2042 is not a top 3 most disappointing game. It's not like the last Battlefield was some amazing video game and that this is somehow
Yeah, this
the
is
fall.
Not,
Like,
I
this
will
is not
say
sullying a
though,
legacy for me.
that's fair, but I will say that it was in part your enthusiasm when they began to tease this game that got me like,
yeah,
fuck, I think he's right. Like this, they're gonna do some cool shit in this game.
I was hopeful because, like, again, because
know?
that last game was not great. It was like, okay, they got to do something, and this setting and stuff seems potentially interesting. Bigger, higher player count. That sounds kind of cool. The Portal stuff, when they unveiled that, there was an element of like, oh, they put in some of the cool older stuff for fun reasons. And this game's just been boned up left and right. And they did not pull it off. I mean, it sounds like they're like, panic is not the right word, but inside of EA, it sounds like they're not too thrilled with how that game's been doing. And
Totally.
I agree. I am also not too thrilled with that game.
I just I bought into it. Or at least the sort of like opening for there to be excitement. And
I was hopeful. It's definitely, so there is some disappointment there. I'm not saying it is not a disappointing game, but there are 3 other games I am angrier about on this list.
I have at least 2 for sure. So
yeah. So
how about this? Are you more disappointed with WarioWare or Battlefield?
WarioWare, like by a 10-fold, 100-fold. Like that is a crime. What happened with WarioWare?
Sharp creases.
Battlefield is like, oh, I hoped that they had learned something from the last game, and maybe they didn't learn the right thing, the things I hoped that they would address.
Speaking of crimes, Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition. What the fuck?
I mean, the bug videos, the glitches, the fucking graphical options, the fucking rain that was just like,
yeah,
that was
all
not
that shit
shippable.
speaks
Like
for itself, and it is a
So how about this though?
Effort from Rockstar that pawned it off to a third party to produce this shit, and holy shit, how did it pass QA?
yeah, I mean, it probably didn't, and they were just shuffling it out as fast as possible because they just had a deadline.
There's a lot of testers that I'm sure know exactly what else is wrong with that game, right? It's not,
And I say pass QA by saying that they actually blessed it, but they probably didn't. So yeah, you're right.
Once you hear that, oh, these are versions that were sourced from the mobile ports that were already kind of fucked up and all that sort of stuff, like it's hard to.
They pulled a Konami here, basically. It's really shocking to see them do something so disrespectful to like their main huge franchise that made them. Wild that they did that.
It is. Is it top 3?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
This is yeah. Like on this list, this is what I feel most passionate about.
Yeah.
There is something
These
about
games I
this.
looked very forward to. I wanted to play them in 60 frames per second, because the PC ports were not geared towards like controllers and shit. It was a mess. I wanted a fucking upscaled version of the Grand Theft Auto 3 trilogy. I really did.
I guess the part where they like had then on top of that had the fucking audacity to call it definitive edition and take other versions off sale so you couldn't get those anymore.
Using that word.
That is
the
probably
nerve.
the part where you go
That's
like,
very
oh, you
damning.
are jerks.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah, it's
I'm not,
pretty
like,
Hugely
diabolical.
disappointing to me.
I'm not like a diehard GTA fan or anything, but like I get it. Like,
Yeah, and
I get why people are incandescently enraged by this.
And those
I'm
3 games
fucking
individually are part of like gaming canon, right?
Yeah, this is gaming history that was fucked up. Like, they fucked it up, and it's like, this is just such a shame. To call it definitive is just insult to injury.
Better.
Okay,
better.
let's leave that here for
know.
now, and we can talk about like let's just try to get this list down a little bit if we can. 12 minutes. We've covered why it's disappointing.
We can cut
a
it.
dozen times over the last day and a half. I think we can cut it. It's not going to make top 3 for as much as it's a cool mechanic.
I want to say though, there's stuff I haven't said about 12 minutes. I think it's crazy that this thing took 7 years to make. Or something
Games
like
are
that.
hard.
There are.
We saw a build of it, and like there was like an element of like, oh, this is really innovative. This is awesome. And
I remember that.
And there are A-list celebrities in it. 3 of them. You've got Willem Dafoe, Daisy Ridley, and that one British guy whose name I always
James
forget.
McAvoy.
James McAvoy.
Wanted? Okay, now I'm okay.
he's
Wait,
Scottish,
now
though, isn't he?
I'm kind of back in.
Yeah, because like this is hype, right? 7 years, 3 crazy huge actors. They had the audacity to put the carpet from The Shining in it. You know, like there's a little bit
Weird, yeah.
of fucking pretension doing something like that, being like, we're like the next The Shining, we're geniuses. You know, there's something really that like I'm not incandescently enraged by it, but I'm like, yo, you can't just put these 3 A-listers in it, put a ton of years into it, and it comes out and it's this.
So I think the voice actor stuff is the stuff that kind of like that's almost like a red flag for me of just like, oh,
You needed
they're gonna
these
slap some
people-
names on this to try to and that's Annapurna's MO, right? They're just like they're trying to drum up hype for these games by putting these voice actors in them. Like that doesn't move the needle for me one way or the other. It just says like, oh, we had a budget and there's a pandemic, so everyone was available. Like I don't know about that specifically, but I guess like yes, I think that game is super disappointing. But when I look at the other stuff and how pissed people are about the other stuff on this list, I just don't think there's a way this makes it through.
Yeah,
But
I think
this got good reviews, and that pisses me off.
Well, that's
Really?
whatever. We don't care. Like
Okay, that's
those
not-
people can be
let's see
wrong
this.
all fucking day long. Like
yeah.
like most other video game publications are fucking wrong. Get used to it.
We're
think-
the only good one.
And well, that's true. And I also think that in again, any other year, I just think the overwhelming amount of disappointing shit this year was just a sludge-like consistency. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
I can't. We haven't even fucking gotten to fucking Dark Alliance yet. God damn
What
it.
is this? Yeah.
12 minutes personally for me, if this was my list, it would be on that list just because I kind of blocked out all the shit before I jumped into 12 minutes. And I played it, and I convinced my wife to sit there with me, and she was intrigued by the act. And then we
You guys are still
together,
right?
we together unraveled in a way that we could not understand what was like just sort of coming out in front of us. And
It was also unraveling. I streamed myself
tested
unraveling.
our relationship more so than It Takes Two.
God, how are we going to narrow this down? All right, let me talk about Dark Alliance because it sounds like we're
And then
just going to cut it.
can we take like a little break to just like unsimmer a little bit, bathroom break, come back,
No.
reattack?
No, we can't.
God
We
damn it.
we must
we need
move
to
forward.
finish this.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Dark Alliance. They said, "Hey, did you like Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance?"
Yes.
The answer to that question is objectively fucking yeah.
Fuck yeah, we did.
And the sequel and all that stuff. And you're like, okay, you're bringing back Dark Alliance. That's fucking cool. And then they start to show more and more of it, and you're like, okay, all right. But they're like, oh, we got the stories. We got Drizzt in this one. You're like, okay, great, whatever. That game is a fucking piece of shit. It launched so goddamn broken. The net code was completely fucked. Like, you would jump into these games with other people and just like the jittery, like, you know, and then on top of that, it's got a bunch of timing based attacks of like, oh, I gotta block perfectly to follow up with this. And just every step of it, it looked bad. It felt worse. Just, I cannot believe that they are going to sully the Dark Alliance name after decades of like goodwill that like people still remember, like, oh man, yeah, Dark Alliance was a great co-op game. What a cool thing. Oh, they're going to bring that back. That's so rad. And then that piece of shit is what came out. I uninstalled that game on stream. God damn it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's saying something.
It sucks. It just sucks. And it comes from a lineage that is so strong. I'm not even a fucking big D&D guy.
I can't get behind that. Like, I don't think the lineage is that fucking strong. Like, I think the D&D games that they've released since then have been piss poor.
Well, I'm looking at it as like, hey, they're finally going back to Dark Alliance. Like, they're finally going to say, hey, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, like we are doing it. Like, there's an element there of just like,
what got you hyped, but
like, are you fucking kidding me? You didn't need to do this. You didn't need to bring this game back for that.
Yeah.
This could have just been Drizzt's quests. And you would have been like, all right, whatever, another fucking mediocre D&D game. Who cares? But instead they had to go there. Fuck that game.
Fuck that game. I'm with you. Fuck that game.
That is it. It probably doesn't. Maybe it doesn't make the list based on we are all pissed about different games.
Yeah. Pissed. The piss is spread out real nice and even. Fine layer.
I'm willing to cut Dark Alliance based on how pissed off people are about other games.
Okay,
but you will not get WarioWare off this list.
No, I think WarioWare deserves it. Yeah. I can't speak. I mean, look, I don't think It Takes Two stays. I don't think. I just don't think as much as
there's a functional game there
for the bit, right? Like, it stays.
Right.
I enjoyed the game part of that game. So
yeah, when we look at the other stuff on this list, I think to me it's like I look at It Takes Two and say that studio made another one of those, and it's whatever. It's a game I'll never play because it's a co-op only game. So like I think it's cool in a way that they're making those and that they're able to make those, but like I do not play games in a way that makes that even viable for me. So but between like whatever, forget that. Like the other stuff on this list is way stronger than that. I don't think It Takes Two hangs.
Can I talk about how it is best family game?
We don't care. We don't care about that.
Again,
like that. I don't care what some other award thing is. Like that's dumb. Like that's super dumb. That ended up that way.
Yeah, it's worth a laugh for sure.
Yes,
it's worth a
but
laugh.
like,
I saw like a thread somewhere, like I don't know, Resetera or some shit, where some poor fucking schmuck was playing this with his kids, and because it won best family game.
Perfect.
And then they got to the part where you completely dismember a toy, and they were crying and was like, "I can't, no, don't play the game anymore, Daddy." Like it was a whole thing, and that's really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Class action therapy lawsuit.
Good squirrels.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
good squirrels in the game though.
Yeah.
Solid.
I don't know about that, but
Jan, I think it really comes down to the passion with Pokemon.
Yeah,
I feel like Pokemon has a stronger case here because yes, 12 minutes spent 7+ years in development hell. But the thing is with Pokemon, they're going to keep going,
Yeah.
They're going to keep going. And
where do we draw
by
the
your
line?
argument Because also this is a bajillion-dollar company that can afford to make a better game than Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. And that's also why I think the GTA Definitive Edition is such an insult, because they have more money than God. They could have made a good game, and they decided to cheap out on it for no fucking good reason. That's such a shame.
The thing I'll say about 12 minutes is that Annapurna ain't broke. You know, and Annapurna had built something of a track record when it comes to making quality indie games that kind of, you know, add to that disappointment a little bit. But again, I think when we think about the white hot rage for these other 3 games, I don't think 12 minutes stays on the list.
That's fair. Let me just leave you with this.
Okay.
If this is the game, the game that causes Willem Dafoe to never lend his voice to another game ever again, we'll be sorry.
It's not our fault.
It's not our fault.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm just saying, didn't happen after Beyond, right?
Yep.
He was like, that was terrible. Let's jump into this world again.
I don't
Can't even do his voice. Not gonna try.
I thought it was
So-
a
And he
voice.
knocks this stuff out, and he's like, "Okay, on to the next thing."
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, obviously there was no motion capture in 12
Right.
minutes that he was a part of.
Maybe
so.
there should have been. Maybe there should have been.
Yeah.
There should have been something. There should have been something.
Someone should have stepped in somewhere and said,
Someone
we
should have
can't
stepped.
let this happen.
Someone. Anyway, that's
I
if that's the case, 12 minutes is it's cool to
Sayonara.
12 minutes did give me my laugh of the year when I was able to eat cake while my wife was being arrested by Willem Dafoe and basically like curb stomped by Willem Dafoe, and I was just eating a cake going,
When did the incest happen in that game?
at the end.
from the start.
That's the
From
last.
the start,
Well,
if you really think about
from
it.
the start, but
Yeah,
by the
let's-
end, yeah.
like,
like during the cake or no?
After
Do
the-
incest.
You could probably
That's
make
it.
it during the cake if you wanted to. I don't know.
Cool.
It's got options.
I-
We're down to our 3
No.
games here for most disappointing. Grand Theft
I know
Auto
where I
Definitive
vote.
Edition, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, and WarioWare Get It Together.
I think just based off the names of all of these games, I think Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition wins it.
Motherfucker.
Because
The
WarioWare,
audacity.
they can get it together.
audacity.
You know, they'll
Yeah,
eventually
that's
get it
true.
together.
They fucking didn't.
God damn
Eventually
it.
they can. Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, it's more of a shining turd in my books. Other people really like
Yeah,
it.
you're right. Based off the arguments made in this podcast, during this podcast, the fact that the lack of self-awareness in titling your shit Definitive Edition speaks so in the opposite sort of spirit of what you were trying to accomplish.
God damn
Yeah.
it.
What a slap in
The
the face.
nerve, you know?
For that reason.
And again, these are some of the most popular video games of all time.
Yep.
Being re-released. I'm tempted to bias in favor of a new product with WarioWare, but even WarioWare has its roots in older, you know, so it has some returning mini games and stuff like that. And I'm very angry about WarioWare.
No, I
But-
get you. I
But
get you.
yes,
get
Grand
it.
Theft Auto Definitive Edition is disgusting.
More of a slap in the face than the other things.
God, it really fucking
Because
is.
at
I was like,
least-
It's been
felt it.
patched. They have put some work
Fuck their
into it
patches.
and all that sort of stuff. It's not quite as broken as it once was.
Mhm.
It still looks hideous, though.
But it's not. There's no. These 3 games, that trilogy of games, deserves so much more than it got. Especially if you're going to call it a definitive edition. Especially in a world where you look at some of the other remakes and remasters that are coming out. And compare it to some of the other work being done out there.
Yeah.
It's not a 1-to-1 because I think on some level you can't sit there and look at like the Demon Souls PlayStation 5 thing and go like GTA should be that because it's a big open world city. It's crazy. That's a crazy amount of work. But
That's a huge ask.
Like, I'm
if Grand
sure
Theft
that-
Auto isn't worth that amount of work, then what the fuck is?
Yeah, true. I also I mean, I'm not super sure, but I'm positive there must be modding scene for GTA that is also very good at like making HD textures and stuff like that. And if you
They're all
can't
fucking
make
pissed like I am, and they're like, "Fuck that series."
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like,
like, you
because
know.
because of those mods got shut down because those versions of the game got taken off sale, and so
Yeah.
such bullshit. That's
Yeah.
disgusting bullshit. And the fact that you can't, even put the mildest amount of effort into it to make it look at least as good as what the fans are doing for fucking free. That's
Yeah.
terrible. And then the audacity to shut those fans down and all of their work going to shit is just like
Bummer.
horrendous.
Fuck all y'all. Fuck all y'all.
that's okay.
All of that. All
Okay,
Of that. Not
I'm
you
gonna
guys.
put
Not you
the
guys.
symbolic asterisks next to that one.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition, our most disappointing game of the year, and I guess also congratulations to the runners-up for Pokemon BDSM and for WarioWare Get It Together. Nintendo narrowly dodging a couple of bullets here and winning this award,
Almost
Wow.
caught some strays.
Almost got it.
Almost caught some
but
strays.
but certainly, I guess, a rough year for them. We didn't even get into the Big Brain Academy thing that also came out and is also disappointing because it's not in this league. But
Yeah.
man, that was a bummer too. All right, that's our categories. We take a break and we'll come back and we'll read through the list of potential nominees for Game of the Year. I don't know that we're going to get much work done there today.
Mm.
But,
Let's read them off. We'll read them off.
Yeah, we'll read them off and
That's about all I can handle.
yeah.
Maybe we
Yes.
make 1 or 2 cuts.
Yeah. All right, we're back. And that's it for the categories. Let's go over them one more time here. Today we looked at Best Style with No More Heroes 3 taking it, and Cruelty Squad and Solar Ash running up.
Yeah.
Best Looking Game went to Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart with
Best
Resident Evil
Balls.
Village and Kana Bridge.
Kana. Kana.
Bread of
I can't pronounce
Spirits.
bridge
Bread. I
anymore.
was going to say bread too.
Bread of Spirits.
Bridget.
Yeah, Bridget. Running up there. The best Switch game that is not on Switch yet. It's Wildermyth.
Even though it's coming to Switch.
It is coming to
We
Switch. It's not there yet.
manifested it.
It's a trick.
Yeah, I think all of these games should eventually get there personally.
Yeah.
They Always Run and Demio
Demio.
are our runners up there. And most disappointing, it's Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition and a double shot of Nintendo games running up there. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and WarioWare Get It Together. Technically 3 games there, I guess.
Yep.
With Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl
Mm.
being 2 games. Is Brilliant Diamond more disappointing than Shining Pearl? I mean,
Yo,
should we
okay,
pick
so
one?
here's
No,
the
no,
thing though, because like I fucking love Brilliant Diamond, man. Or I love Diamond in the past. Like Dialga was the legendary to get. We don't need to get into it.
All right.
All right.
Alki is a bitch.
Okay, is alright.
Everyone knows it.
Like typing wise, it's whack.
Damn.
Yeah. That's going to leave us with the final category, Game
Oh,
of
boy.
the Year. We
That's
are
a
just
big
going to give you a bit of a preview here. We'll get into the meat of it tomorrow. But this is where we build a list of 10. We build the site official top 10 list. We're starting with our personal top 10s as entries for this list, because honestly, if no one put it on their individual top 10 list, then what chance does it have making the fucking site top 10?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
And so that results with this list in alphabetical order. Axiom Verge 2, Babel Royale, Back for Blood, Chicory, A Colorful Tale, Cruelty Squad, Death's Door, Deathloop, Damio,
Damn it.
Demio.
Devotion, which is not a 2021 game,
Oh.
Forza Horizon 5, the Godzilla Pinball Machine.
Hey.
Come on.
It's got a shot. It's got a shot.
Hey.
Guilty Gear Strive,
Mhm.
Halo Infinite, Hitman 3, Inscription, Kana Bread of Spirits,
Delicious.
Loop Hero, The Mandalorian, Star Wars, The Mandalorian, The Pinball Machine,
Whoa.
Fuck yeah.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Metroid Dread, Monster Hunter Rise, New Pokemon Snap, the Outer Wilds DLC Echoes of the Eye, Phantom Abyss,
Oh.
Pokemon Unite, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart,
What?
Resident Evil Village, Scarlet Nexus, Solar Ash, Super Auto Pets,
Mm.
Tales of Arise, The Ascent, The Forgotten City, Unpacking, and Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to cull that list down to 10 and put it in order tomorrow.
I got my 10 already.
Yeah. Devotion
check it
is
out.
Devotion is like it's kind of a 2019 game, right? I mean, it kind of just they had to take it off sale and put it back. It's back on sale now, right?
It is back on sale. It is officially
It's
released
tricky.
to the public now. So there's a bit of it's a bit of an asterisk, it's a bit of a caveat.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a technicality, but since it was only for sale for like 9 days or something before it got taken down in 2019, I feel like nobody put it on their list. Nobody got to play
Right.
it. And I feel like that's a huge disservice to an incredible game. And it is out now. If you go to redcandlegames.com, they put it on their own proprietary or whatever shop store.
Oh, they're just like, fuck it, we're selling it ourselves, huh?
Yeah,
wow.
that is
Okay. Huh.
cool as fuck. They're selling it themselves.
Got a
They got
medal.
a bundle. They got a bundle with detention, which is also absolutely incredible.
Oh, yeah.
So, I want to raise awareness of it and maybe even consider it to have a place on the top 10 because it is really cool.
All right, let's cut it.
And
Yeah,
gorgeous.
let's cut this
So-
2017 to what this come out in like 2004. What it's I feel like its eligibility window is closed for as much as we kind of fudge things around for what year things came out for early access and stuff. When it comes to the final list,
Sorry.
I
Jess.
don't know about Devotion, but it's cool that we were able to talk about it here.
Hell yes.
Just a little
So-
bit.
Look, I'm
You
just
tried,
doing a
you
little
tried.
quick math.
Uh-huh.
Little quick math here. Presumably, all these titles have an equal shot of being crowned, right?
Sure. Sure.
You
Sure.
can say that,
man.
Sure.
Except
Okay.
Devotion, apparently.
Except that games
Yes.
that were released in 2021, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, we're just like, it's possible that a pinball machine, there's about a 5.5% chance
No.
that a pinball machine
No.
Fuck.
Not a video game.
could be number one.
No.
It's just saying, it's a much higher percentage of being a top 10.
Jeff, I've been stabbed twice today. I don't know. I don't know,
Okay.
buddy.
Just want to say it here so that it lives forever in posterity. And you can't delete it now. I'm just saying you can't. No, you could cross it out.
I mean, if some video game company sent me pinball machines, maybe they could make the top 10, but they don't. So I don't know. Why no one can leave the house to see pinball.
Right.
So
Either way,
I feel like that's a very
qualifies.
uphill battle.
Right. Coming in number 10, you never know. Just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Okay. We will get into that tomorrow morning. and immediately cut the pinball machines along with Devotion.
Hey.
And see where we get to. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
Some
I know.
years I have a really good sense of like, this game is definitely the number one game and it's just going to go that way. And whether I want it to or not. And some years I'm just like, I have no fucking idea. I am looking at this list of games and I'm like, I have no fucking idea.
I don't even know
I,
what like the bottom half of the 10 will look like.
Yeah. There's like a few games that I'm like, well, this game definitely needs to be on the list. And that's about where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Someone make odds. And we'll look at it after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't look at the odds until after we've already made the pick. We can't
Never look at the
Yeah.
odds.
color. But so we'll be back in the morning to wrap this up and pick the best game of 2021 and the 9 games that follow it. Come back then, 10 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll see you then. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.